Chapter 373. Convincing Anina was not a difficult task for Charlotte. On the night he returned to the Thunder Horse military factory from the Tang family, he easily settled this matter under a blanket. Of course, Anina wanted to go to Russia with Charlotte and see the sniper rifle she designed with her own eyes. This was equivalent to fulfilling her father and grandfather's wish. However, although this idea was very tempting, she also knew that there would definitely be German and American agents in that place. Once she was caught, her life would probably be over. Therefore, after weighing it again and again, she still gave up the idea of going to Russia with Charlotte. The relevant preparations also began in an orderly manner. Charlotte's thoughts also shifted from the ancient alloy to the company. A few days later, he flew to Sichuan and went to the branch in Deyang. The company in Sichuan had been completely built, and the production and operation were also very normal. The country was developing the western region, and the demand for machinery manufacturing and machining was very large, so there was no need to worry about there being no orders. The staff of the Sichuan branch had also been recruited again and again, and the number had more than doubled. During the few days he stayed in Sichuan, Zhou Xiaohong accompanied him the whole time. This time, she did not sneak into Charlotte's bed naked, but just accompanied Charlotte. In these few days, Charlotte also quickly finalized the company's expansion plan and negotiated with the local government about some matters such as land access, recruitment, and policies. A few days later, Charlotte flew directly from Sichuan to Haizhou and returned to Lima Manufacturing Company. It had to be said that Guan Lingshan had completely grown up and had become a person who could take charge of things independently. When Charlotte was not in the company, she managed the company very well, and the profits were quite considerable. Lima Manufacturing Company was no longer a small private enterprise that relied on processing parts for people. Its main product, the automatic skateboard, was selling very well in the domestic and foreign market. Even with the production capacity of OEM companies in various places, the supply could not meet the demand. The current situation was that when Charlotte was sitting or lying down, there was a stream of silver flowing into his treasury. Thinking back to when he first started his business, he had to worry about paying the workers' salaries and buying insurance. It was like a dream. Although his assets could not be compared to Shintu Tianin's, once the XL 2500 sniper rifle became a hit in the international arms market, the speed at which he would catch up to top tycoons like Shintu Tianin would be much faster. It would not be an exaggeration to say that he had grown wings. After all, since ancient times, the most profitable business was the firearms business. Would Lima Manufacturing Company develop into a super military enterprise like Lockheed Martin Corporation? This was something that no one could explain clearly, because in addition to his various incredible abilities, Charlotte also had a very important capital, which was that he was still young. After returning to Haizhou, the first thing Charlotte did was to integrate his three companies and officially register Rema Group. He was also the only shareholder and the only chairman. When the mayor of Haizhou City, Hu Ho, learned that Charlotte was back, he personally went to persuade Charlotte to go public. Charlotte still refused. He did not need financing, and there was no need to enter the stock market to raise funds. More importantly, he did not want the company that he had worked hard to establish to be controlled by others, which would affect his decisions in the board of directors. Rema Group was his kingdom, and in this kingdom, he was the only king. After completing the integration of the companies, Charlotte worked overtime to formulate the expansion plan of Haizhou's headquarters. The branch in Shudi was going to be expanded, so the headquarters of Haizhou would inevitably be expanded, and the scale would definitely be larger than that in Shudi. After being busy for a few days, Charlotte did not even have time to go home. It was not until the 6th day after he returned to Haizhou that he finished dealing with the matters that needed to be dealt with, and then he thought of going home. Chairman Xia, there is no work for you to deal with today. Do you have any plans? In the office, Guan Lingshan talked to Charlotte with a smile. The three companies were integrated into Rema Group, and Guan Lingshan's title also changed from Chairman Xia to Chairman Xia. This was necessary, because Charlotte had promoted her from the position of assistant to the CEO of Haizhu production base. The CEO of Shudi was naturally Zhou Xiaohong, and Qin Xiang also became the CEO of the military base in Jingdu. Because of her identity, she was still the chief engineer of the military base. Charlotte smiled. I don't have any plans. I just want to go home. I haven't been home for a long time. A look of disappointment flashed in Guan Lingshan's eyes. I have discussed with some colleagues, and I want to invite you to KTV. Charlotte said. No, next time. I really want to go home. Everyone has been very busy these days, and you must be tired. Go home and rest early. Well, okay. Guan Lingshan did not insist. Charlotte looked at Guan Lingshan. By the way, your work is very good. I want to reward you. What do you want? Guan Lingshan also shook her head. Chairman Xia, last year I was just a college student, and my salary was only a few thousand yuan. Now you have promoted me to the CEO of Haizhu production base, and my annual salary is more than 1 million yuan. I am very grateful to you. How can I ask for any reward? I don't want it, I don't want it. In 1 year, a girl who just came out of school became a CEO, which was already a legend in the workplace. Guan Lingshan was a person who knew how to be content and grateful. Of course, she would not want any reward from Charlotte. And Charlotte also liked this of her, otherwise he would not promote her like this. Hearing her words, Charlotte did not insist. He said with a smile, Well, I will give you a big red packet at the end of the year. Guan Lingshan giggled. Then I thank you in advance, Chairman Xia. Do you have a girlfriend? Ah. Guan Lingshan's face suddenly turned red, and she said with some embarrassment, Chairman Xia, why do you ask this? I am still young, and I don't want to fall in love so early. Charlotte said with a smile, What's wrong with caring about you? If you fall in love and have a boyfriend, I will also give you a big red packet. I will go to the workshop to have a look. Guan Lingshan's face was shallow, and she could not resist Charlotte's teasing, so she left the office as if she was escaping. The setting sun hung in the western sky, about to sink, and there was a gorgeous cloud where the earth and the sky met. It looked like a giant dragon with its fangs and claws, which would break through the sky at any time and rush out of the 9 clouds. A black BMW M6 ran in the afterglow of the setting sun, through the streets and alleys, and then entered an old community. The familiar scene, the familiar face, as soon as he got out of the car, there was a familiar and intimate feeling on Charlotte's face. That feeling was really comfortable. This kind of feeling could only be experienced by those who had been wandering in a foreign land for a long time. A group of aunties carrying audio equipment passed by, and one of them recognized Charlotte and said in surprise, Isn't this Lazy? Hello, Auntie Zhao. Charlotte greeted politely. He knew all these aunties. Oh, you have grown up now and you are still so polite, how rare. The woman called Auntie Zhao giggled and said, Have you found a partner? Auntie can introduce you to one? Charlotte ran away. The group of aunties muttered behind him. Look at Lazy, he has a company, and he drives a BMW. My kid plays some hero every day at home, I am so angry. That's right, my daughter has found a partner, but he doesn't even have a house. No matter how I persuade him, he won't listen. My lungs are about to explode from anger. Lazy is really capable, starting from scratch, and he has a good character. If any girl marries him, she will really live a good life. You gossips, let's go, or else your territory will be occupied by others. The group of aunties chatted and laughed as they walked away. Charlotte smiled bitterly, shook his head, and continued to walk toward the stairs. However, he stopped after a few steps. In that familiar place stood the person he was most familiar with, Jiang Rui. Jiang Rui, who was standing on the balcony, was dressed in a police uniform. Her posture was straight and her curves were curvy. She was still so charming. Especially her pair of black and bright eyes, as if they were two elves that could speak, and their language was always so beautiful. Seeing Jiang Rui, Charlotte's mind couldn't help but recall some childhood scenes. He and Jiang Rui threw mud at each other, and as a boy, he was always chased by Jiang Rui. He and Jiang Rui bathed naked in the river, and then excitedly discussed why his body was a little bit more, and hers was a little less. When the discussion turned into an argument, she angrily grabbed his extra bit and wanted to pull it off. These were very precious memories. Charlotte's mouth revealed a smile. Rui, how have you been recently? Jiang Rui curled her lips. Same old, going to work and getting off work, and occasionally thinking about a certain bad guy. Charlotte knew who the bad guy she mentioned was. He smiled and said, I haven't seen you for a long time and you're still the same. You always want to bully me when we meet. I bully you? What the hell? Jiang Rui suddenly corrected her tone. Forget it, I won't scold you. I'm changing my temper now. Charlotte walked over. Isn't that right? Women should be gentle. No one wants me even if I'm gentle. Jiang Rui's voice was very low. At this time, another woman came out of the house. When she saw Charlotte, her face suddenly showed a smile. Oh, isn't this lazy? I haven't seen you for 2 years, and you've become so handsome. This woman was Jiang Rui's mother, Yang Yun. Charlotte knew her since he was a child. When he was a child, he often asked Yang Yun for candy. Sometimes when Yang Yun cooked delicious food, she would always ask Jiang Rui to invite Charlotte and Xia Shui to her house to eat together, so their relationship had always been very good. Auntie, when did you come back? Charlotte greeted her kindly. Yang Yun said, You know, Rui's father has been in poor health, so we moved to our hometown in the countryside to let her father recuperate. But last month, her father's health was not good, and he is now in the hospital. That's why I moved back. It's all for the sake of her father's treatment. Mom. Jiang Rui rolled her eyes at Yang Yun. She didn't seem to want Charlotte to know about her father's illness. Yang Yun slapped the back of Jiang Rui's head. You little girl, Lazy has been standing outside for a long time. Why don't you invite him in? Jiang Rui's temper was actually inherited from Yang Yun. The pupil was better than the teacher, but not better than the teacher. I'll open the door for you. Jiang Rui never said please to Charlotte. Chapter 374. Jiang Rui's house was still the same. Charlotte was familiar with everything in her house, even the bathroom. As soon as he entered the door, Yang Yun handed a cup of water to Charlotte. Charlotte thanked her profusely. It's summer vacation. Why didn't Xiaoxue come back? Yang Yun asked. Charlotte said, She's in the capital and won't come back for the time being. If she comes back, she'll definitely come to visit you. Did you move? No. Charlotte said, It's just that I'm too busy with work and have little time to go home. Yang Yun stared straight at Xiaolei. I heard a lot about you from Rui. You have a successful career now, but you still have to do it. Your health is also very important. Don't work too hard. It's not good to tire yourself out. Charlotte nodded. Well, I'll pay attention to my rest. You're not young anymore. It's time to think about starting a family. Do you have a girlfriend? Why don't you bring her back for me to see? While speaking, Yang Yun glanced at Jiang Rui. The latter rolled her eyes at her. Charlotte was a little embarrassed. I found one, but she blew it. It's good that you blew it. Charlotte's mind was already in a mess. Auntie said the wrong thing. What a pity. Yang Yun covered her mouth with a smile on her face. In my opinion, a girl who grows up with your childhood sweetheart is the best. Mom. Jiang Rui interrupted Yang Yun's words. Aren't you going to the hospital to see my dad? It's time to go. It'll be too late if you don't go now. Yang Yun glared at Jiang Rui with dissatisfaction. Just as she was about to say something, her phone suddenly rang. The call was from the hospital. Out of money again? Didn't you just save 5,000 the day before yesterday? This is… Okay, I'll deposit some more in the account tomorrow. How about I stop? Can you make an exception? Just now, they were talking and laughing happily. But after receiving a phone call, the smile on Yang Yun's face disappeared and was replaced with a sad face. Jiang Rui also seemed to have a lot on his mind. Charlotte asked tentatively, "Auntie, what illness does Uncle Jiang suffer from?" Yang Yun was silent for a moment before saying, "It's uremia. We moved to our hometown in the countryside because the cost of dialysis there is lower. But now Rui's father's health was getting worse and worse. The doctor said that he needed a kidney transplant. We can't find a donor, and even if someone donates, it won't be us commoners. Also, Rui's father's illness has depleted our family's savings in the past 2 years. Even if there's a volunteer donor, the surgery fees can easily reach millions. How can we afford the surgery?" Sigh. Charlotte's gaze shifted to Jiang Rui. "Why didn't you tell me about this?" Jiang Rui wanted to say something but hesitated. Charlotte was a little angry. "How could you hide such a thing from me? Do you take me as an outsider?" Tears welled up in Jiang Rui's eyes. "It wasn't so serious before. Every time I called my mother, she said that my father's condition was improving. Why would I mention such a thing? But after my father came back, I realized that the problem was very serious. I tried to call you, but I couldn't get through. At that time, Charlotte might still have been in Afghanistan." Yang Yun said, "Lei, you can't blame Rui for this. If you want to blame someone, blame me. I don't want to be criticized by my neighbors." Charlotte thought for a moment. "Take me to the hospital to see Uncle Jiang. I'll talk to the doctor. Let me deal with this matter." This. The tears in Jiang Rui's eyes became thicker. Yang Yun held Xia Lei's hand as tears streamed down her cheeks. "Lei, it's useless. Without a healthy kidney, even if you lend us the money for the operation, Rui's father won't be able to recover." "We appreciate your kindness," Charlotte interrupted Yang Yun's words. "Auntie, you also treat me as an outsider, don't you?" No. I've never treated you as an outsider. I've always treated you as my son," Yang Yun said. Charlotte was not interested in thinking about the other meanings in this sentence. He said, "Well, let's go to the hospital. I'll talk to the doctor. The doctor has a way to deal with this kind of thing. There are no willing donors, and there's also a black market. As long as you're willing to pay, it can be solved." Black market? Yang Yun seemed to see a glimmer of hope. She was excited and worried. "Then, how much will it cost?" "Money is not a problem. I'll pay any amount." Charlotte added, "You don't have to pay it back." "How can we do that?" Yang Yun didn't know what to say. Jiang Rui wanted to say something, but she swallowed the words back. The cost of buying a kidney in the black market must be frighteningly high. It would cost more than $1 million to do the surgery through the legal channel. Wouldn't it be a few million to do the surgery through the black market channel? With so much money, she couldn't pay it back even if she wanted to. "Let's go. You're still so slow," Charlotte said to Jiang Rui. If it were in the past, Jiang Rui would definitely argue with Charlotte, but she didn't today. She nodded and looked very docile. "Well, let's go to the hospital." Yang Yun wiped her tears, but there was a smile on her face. She secretly said in her heart, "I can't pay it back. At worst, I'll give my daughter to you." When they arrived at the hospital, Charlotte met Jiang Rui's father, Jiang Shuqing. Jiang Shuqing stayed in a large ward with a very poor environment. His condition was also very poor. There was no color on his face, and his spirit was also dispirited. His whole person gave a feeling of dying. For Charlotte, Jiang Shuqing was actually equivalent to the existence of half a father. 5 years ago, his father, Xia Changhe, disappeared. At that time, he had just graduated from high school. No one wanted him to work in the construction site. His and Xia Shui's days were extremely hard. It was also during that difficult period that Jiang Shuqing helped him a lot. He used his connections to help him find a job, secretly gave him money, comforted him, and encouraged him. Those past events were vivid in his mind, and he had never forgotten them. Such an uncle, who had been like a family to him, had now become like this. Xia Lei, a man of steel, could not help but feel a lump in his throat. He almost shed tears. His voice was also a little choked. "Uncle Jiang, I've come to see you." Jiang Shuqing, who was taking a nap with his eyes closed, heard the voice and opened his eyes. When he saw that it was Charlotte, he was stunned for a moment, and then he smiled. "It's Lei. When did you come back? I just wanted to see you. I didn't expect you to appear as soon as I opened my eyes." Charlotte walked to the bedside and held Jiang Shuqing's hand. "Uncle Jiang, take care of yourself. You will definitely get better." "I won't get better. I know my own situation well." Jiang Shuqing sighed. "The one I'm most worried about is our Rui. She is silly and too innocent. If I leave, there will be no man at home. How will they live? Dad." Jiang Rui wanted to tell Jiang Shuqing the truth. Yang Yun took Jiang Rui's hand and walked out of the ward, leaving the two men there to chat and reminisce. "Mom, what are you doing?" Jiang Rui said unhappily. "I want to tell Dad that Charlotte will help us. There is hope that he can be cured. Why did you pull me out?" Yang Yun smiled and said, "It's okay to say it later. Mom wants to talk to you." "Talk about what?" Jiang Rui looked at her mother with a strange look. "What's going on between you and Lei?" "What do you mean, what's going on?" "Mom watched you grow up together. I know better than anyone that you like him. But why aren't you together? It's too familiar. I don't feel anything." "Is it because he doesn't feel anything for you?" "Mom, I don't want to talk about it." This was a scar in her heart which would hurt faintly. "Don't want to talk about it? He has helped our family so much. What are you going to do?" "It's two things, right?" "What two things?" "I'm worried about you even if you're not worried. We can't pay back so much money. I'll pawn you to him to give birth to his children, wash his clothes, and cook for him." Jiang Rui. After a while, Charlotte came out of the ward and followed Jiang Rui to find Jiang Shuqing's doctor. As soon as they met, Charlotte said directly, "Doctor, give my Uncle Jiang a VIP ward and arrange an operation for him as soon as possible." The doctor looked at Charlotte in surprise. "Who are you?" Charlotte said, "Charlotte, Mayor Hu Ho is my good friend." As soon as he heard that it was Mayor Hu Ho's friend, the doctor's attitude suddenly changed. "It's Mr. Xia. Hello. Here's the situation. There's no suitable kidney at present, and the operation costs about 1 million yuan. Charlotte said, "Money is not a problem. I can transfer 2 million yuan to your hospital's account now. If you can find a suitable kidney, I'll give you another 500,000 yuan." The doctor was stunned at first, and then he tentatively said, "Mr. Xia, are you kidding me?" Charlotte lowered his voice and said, "I'm not kidding you. Go through the black market channel. I promise you won't lose anything." The doctor then said, "Mr. Xia, please come to my lounge to talk." Jiang Rui also followed. Half an hour later, Charlotte and Jiang Rui left the doctor's lounge. Jiang Rui also had a smile on her face, and she felt relaxed. Not for anything else, but because Charlotte had talked everything with the doctor, and her father could be saved. After coming out of the lounge, the doctor personally arranged a VIP ward for Jiang Shuqing, and changed the best nurse. His attitude could be described as a 180-degree change. Charlotte stayed in the VIP ward for an hour, and then he left. Jiang Rui sent Charlotte out and silently followed him. In the stairwell, Charlotte asked for Jiang Rui's bank account, then he called Guan Lingshan and directly transferred 5 million yuan to Jiang Rui's bank account. 5 million, so much. Seeing the amount of money on the text message, Jiang Rui suddenly panicked. "It's not that much," Charlotte said with a smile. "Are you still treating me like an outsider? I'm not short of money now. You can take it and use the rest as nutrition for my uncle. You. Jiang Rui's eyes became misty again. How can I pay you back? If you pay me back again, I will be angry. Charlotte took out a paper package from his pocket and put it in Jiang Rui's hand. Jiang Rui looked at him and asked, "What is it?" Charlotte said, "It's a little thing I got in Afghanistan. I was embarrassed to give it to your mother before. See if it fits." Jiang Rui opened the paper package, and it was a dazzling gem necklace. She was stunned. Charlotte said, "I have a very tight schedule this time. I will return to the capital tomorrow, and then I will go to Russia to attend a light weapons exhibition there." Jiang Rui seemed to not hear what Charlotte said, and she was still staring at the gem necklace in her hand. "I have to go. You go back and spend more time with Uncle Jiang. By the way, tell Uncle Jiang that I will visit him next time. At that time, he should have finished the surgery. I really hope he will get better," Charlotte said with a smile. Jiang Rui suddenly hugged Charlotte and said in his ear, "I will wait for you to come back. I will wait for you as long as it takes. If you are tired outside, come back and have a rest." After that, she turned around and ran away. Charlotte looked at her back and was in a daze for a long time. Chapter 375. Under the night sky, Haiju looked like a dream. As he walked out of the hospital, Charlotte's mind was still thinking about what Jiang Rui had said to him. "I'll wait for you to come back. I'll wait for you no matter how long it takes. If you're tired outside, come back and rest." The past events of his childhood surfaced in Charlotte's mind. A bitter smile appeared on his lips. "You've said it, but what should I do?" He really didn't know how to face such a relationship. He was already shouldering too many emotional debt. He wasn't a playboy, but he was definitely an outstanding man. This was the same principle as how beautiful women always had many suitors. He was outstanding and single, so how could he not be liked by women? Maybe I should find a woman and get married. If that's the case, I might not have to worry about this. He had such a strange thought in his mind. Ring, 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 ring. Charlotte took out his phone and saw an unfamiliar number. He hesitated for a moment before answering the call. A woman's voice came from the phone. "Charlotte, I'm Gu Qian." Charlotte was very surprised when she introduced herself. "Why are you calling me?" Gu Qian laughed. "Can't I catch up with you?" Charlotte frowned. "Gu Qian, although you're working for Shinto Tianyin now, we're not friends. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up." "Alright, let's get down to business." Gu Qian stopped laughing. "I'm calling to tell you something. And Xiuxian has been released." Xia Lei was stunned for a moment. He had expected that someone would use Xiuxian as a bargaining chip in exchange for political benefits, but he didn't expect it to be so soon. In his imagination, Xiuxian would be locked up for a few months until the two sides reached an agreement. "He came to see Shinto Tianyin today," Gu Qian said. "I was beside him. He and Shinto Tianyin talked about the God Domain Corporation and Wanxiang Corporation's mobile phone project. Finally, he talked about you." Charlotte pretended to be calm. "What did he say about me?" "Of course it wasn't anything good. He said that you stole his family's Sword of Attila and several other antiques, so you're a thief. Then he said that you framed him and caused him to be arrested by the police, but he was innocent. He even said that he would settle the score with you. He definitely will." Charlotte sneered. "Did Tianyin say anything?" Gu Qian said, "Of course she spoke up for you. She also advised Xiuxian not to be impulsive. On the surface, Xiuxian seemed to agree, but I could see that it was just a pretense. In front of Shinto Tianyin, he will agree to anything, but it's hard to say if he will keep his promise." "Then let him bring it on." Charlotte's voice was very cold. If he could kill Xiuxian and the others at Jiangnan Hotel, he wouldn't mind killing the rest of the Yin family. "That's it then. I'm hanging up." "Wait a minute." Charlotte stopped Gu Qian. "Why are you telling me this?" Then why do you think I'm telling you this? We're not friends. You and I both know this very well. You should stand on the same side as Enchantment. You should give him advice and help him deal with me. If I die in Enchantment's hands, isn't it good for you? Gu Qian was silent for a moment and said, Do you remember the deal I proposed? Charlotte suddenly thought of the night shortly after the fall of the Gu family. At the great ensemble, Gu Qian took off her evening dress and used her body as bait to lure him to cooperate with her to avenge her father, Gu Dingshan, and deal with the big shot who killed her father. Of course, he wouldn't agree and refused her, but he didn't expect that she would propose it again at this time. What I want to tell you is that the deal I proposed is still valid now. As long as you promise me to help me get revenge, the grudge between us will be written off. My whole person is yours. You can do whatever you want. Gu Qian also said these words that night at the great ensemble. Gu Qian, I thank you for reminding me, but… Charlotte changed his euphemism. You're actually degrading yourself by doing this. You were once the eldest daughter of the Gu family. When did you fall to using your body as a bargaining chip? Besides, you're not my type. Gu Qian laughed. I did use my body to attract you, but you were indifferent. I, Gu Qian, will not be so cheap as to do it a second time. When I said that my whole person is yours, I mean I can help you make money. Although my Gu family has fallen, those connections are still there. I still have a lot of people's secrets in my hands. These are resources that money can't buy. With my help, your company can catch up with the Wanxiang Group within 10 years. Catch up with the Wanxiang Group within 10 years. If someone else said this, it might just be a joke. But coming from Gu Qian's mouth, it had some weight. Because she did have the Gu family's connections in her hands. She also had a lot of people's secret. These resources couldn't be seen, but they were definitely very powerful. Otherwise, Shintu Tianin wouldn't have let her be an assistant. Charlotte was silent. At this time, he had to admit that he was a little tempted. Think about it carefully. I still have some patience. Gu Qian's voice was heard. I will continue to pay attention to Enchantment. If there's any movement on his side, I will let you know immediately. Out of politeness, Charlotte should say thank you. But his mouth seemed to be stuffed with a ball of cotton, and he couldn't say anything. Gu Qian hung up the phone. The night wind blew across his cheeks, bringing a burst of coolness. Charlotte's thoughts also became clear. He secretly pondered in his heart. The Gu family is finished because of me. Gu Dingshan is dead, and Gu Kawu is still in prison. With such a grudge on my head, Gu Qian actually doesn't want revenge, but to cooperate with me. She even said that she would help me surpass the Wanxiang Group. If I believed you, then I would really be drunk. Cooperation was definitely out of the question. But Gu Qian was such a smart woman. How could she not see this? But why did she still do it? What puzzled Charlotte even more was that Gu Qian appeared again. Not only did she not seek revenge, but she also helped him. What was she doing? Gu Qian appeared again. Her entire person seemed to have become another person, and it was impossible to see through her. Driving on the road, Charlotte's speed was not fast. His mind was filled with all kinds of questions, and there was also Jiang Rui. When he thought of Jiang Rui, he actually felt a sense of warmth and familiarity in his heart. Vroom. A motorcycle sped past the BMW M6 at a speed of at least 100 kilometers per hour. Xia Lei shifted his gaze and found the back view of the motorbike somewhat familiar. However, just as he was about to catch up to the face hidden under the helmet from the side, the rider in front raised his hand and threw something white at the windshield of the BMW M6. It was a piece of chewed gum. Seeing the gum, Charlotte suddenly guessed the identity of the rider. There was no need to chase after the rider to see through her face. She was his father's assistant, Yelena. Yelena didn't even look back. She stepped on the accelerator, and the motorcycle suddenly accelerated. In the blink of an eye, it was far away. This was China. Her purpose was not to meet, but she had done what she had to do. Charlotte drove the car off the main road and parked in a parking space on the street. He then got off the car and removed the gum stuck to the windshield. She's like this every time. She wants me to open her chewed gum. Doesn't she know to use another way to send a message? Charlotte took the sticky gum back to the driver's seat and complained as he opened the gum. There was indeed a note hidden in the gum. On it was a paragraph. Son, we will see each other in Russia. I need your sniper rifle. Bring 2 more to Russia. In China, someone has already targeted you. I have begun to investigate the identity and motive of that person. Once there is a result, I will let Yelena tell you. The handwriting on the note was his father's, Xia Changhe's, handwriting, and it wasn't an imitation. An imitation handwriting couldn't fool Charlotte's eyes. Dad wants my sniper rifle? Charlotte smiled bitterly. He really knows what's good for him. Okay, I will bring 2 more to Russia this time and give it to him when the time comes. His father, Xia Changhe, was finally willing to meet. Charlotte was very excited, because this meant that some of the questions that had been troubling him might be answered by his father. Of course, the most important thing was that after being separated for 6 years, they were finally reunited. Xia Lei burned the note and threw the chewing gum into the trash can on the side of the road. Ring ring ring, ring ring ring, his phone rang again. Who is it this time? Charlotte took out his phone and saw that it was Jiang Rui's number. He answered the phone. Rui, what's up? Are you already at the airport now? No. Didn't I say that I want to leave tomorrow? I want to stay at home for a night, Charlotte said. Oh, my mind is muddled. I didn't hear you clearly. I thought you were going to catch a flight, so I didn't ask you to stay. My mom was just lecturing me about why I didn't treat you to a meal. You haven't eaten yet, right? Not yet. I went to your house when I came back and then went to the hospital. I was about to go home to cook something. Don't go back. Come and pick me up. Let's go to that barbecue restaurant we went to in high school. My treat. Jiang Rui said. Her voice had an indescribable gentleness. Okay, I'll be right there. Xia Lei hung up the phone, turned the car around and drove in the direction of the hospital. Reliving the old days of high school was not bad. In the hospital, Yang Yun gave Jiang Rui a thumbs up and smiled like a flower. That's right. Girls should be gentle, coquettish and coy. You can't talk to others like a tomboy. If you are so fierce, who would dare to marry you? Mom! Jiang Rui stomped her feet. If you say one more word, I will quit. So mushy. Okay. I won't talk to you anymore, okay? Yang Yun pouted and added, You have the same bad temper as your father. On the hospital bed, Jiang Shuqing turned over and faced Yang Yun with his butt. At the same time, a tall man walked out from the dark corner of the street where Charlotte parked his car. He held a phone and said in Korean, President, there is something wrong with that kid. A man's voice came from the phone. What's the problem? Does he not have enough problems? The tall man said, It's not a normal situation. I saw a woman. Before he could finish his words, a middle-aged man wearing a cap walked over from the sidewalk and suddenly stabbed a syringe into his neck. About a second later, he fell to the ground. The man held him and walked to the side of the road. He opened the door of a car and stuffed him in. Then, the man drove away. The whole process took less than 20 seconds. It did not attract anyone's attention at all. As the night went on, many stories were unfolding. Chapter 376. Li Chengri was a very good agent. The fact that he was spying on Charlotte without being discovered was enough to prove his ability. This was also what Njin Jian saw in him, which was why he was sent to China. Li Chengri was also very willing to work for Njin Jian. Other than the handsome reward, there was also the promise of promotion. More importantly, Njin Jian might become the next president of South Korea. How could he not work hard to complete the mission of the future president? However, everything had ended an hour ago, and things had developed in a bad direction. An hour later, Li Chungri opened his eyes. He found himself in a dimly lit room, sitting on a chair. His hands and feet were tied to the chair and he could not move. The room was unoccupied and the walls were covered in cobwebs. There were a few paintings on the wall. They were about 20 to 30 years old, and they were all about workers, peasants, and soldiers. There was a worker with a hammer, a woman with a sickle, and a soldier with a grenade in his hand. There was another door opposite him, and it was closed. He could not see what was going on outside. Damn it! Li Chungri struggled with all his might. He wanted to break free from the rope, but he did not succeed. At this moment, the door suddenly opened, and a man wearing a cap and a blonde beauty walked in from the outside. She was wearing a tight leather shirt, and her chest and buttocks were tightly bound. Her curves were alluring. There was no expression on her face. It was very cold and mysterious. She was holding a black box in her hand, and it was unknown what was inside. The man wearing the cap took off his cap and sat on a chair opposite Li Chungri. Li Chungri saw his face clearly and was stunned. This was because the face of the man in front of him was very similar to Charlotte. It was like Charlotte 30 years later. You are? Li Chungri was a little nervous, and he asked tentatively, Who are you to Charlotte? Xia Changhe. The man's voice was very low. I am Charlotte's father. What do you want? Li Chungri tried his best to hide the fear in his heart and put on a strong front. I'm an employee of the Korean government. If you let me go now, I'll pretend that nothing happened. Xia Changhe said indifferently, I know you're Korean, and I also know that you're a Korean secret agent. Your name is Li Ching-il, 30 years old this year. Last year, during a mission, you shot and killed a few youths who escaped from the north. There was also a girl who was only 18 years old. You humiliated the girl and then killed her. Am I right? Li Chungri's forehead was already dripping with cold sweat, and his voice began to tremble. You, who exactly are you? Only Li Chungri knew about this matter, but this person in front of him, who he had never met before, also knew about it. This was really too strange. Xia Changhe's voice was still indifferent. Didn't I tell you just now? I am Charlotte's father. Li Chungri said, Charlotte's father has been missing for 6 years. Xia Changhe ignored Li Chungri's doubts and continued to say what he wanted to say. And Jin Jian is a father, and he's a very good father. He created a very big family business for his son, and Xiuxian, with tens of billions of asset. I can't compare to him. As a father, I can't give my son much. But there's one thing that Jin Jian can't compare to me, and that is that I can do anything for my son and daughter, including killing people. Li Chungri's face immediately lost all color and turned pale. Xia Changhe continued, Actually, the grudge between you and my son should have ended after Xiuxian was released, but you guys took advantage of your power to bully him and refused to let him off. Once Xiuxian was released, you guys couldn't wait to take action. As a father, Jin Jian sent secret agents and assassins to his son. As a father, I can't just stand by and watch you guys hurt my son, right? I don't know what you're talking about. Li Chungri roared. Let me go. I'm a Korean secret agent, and you know the consequences of killing me. At this moment, Yelena opened the black suitcase and revealed the things inside. The suitcase was filled with torture tools. There were dual-purpose pliers that could pry off fingernails and cut off fingers, small can flamethrowers, scalpels, nylon threads, saws, hammers, and a few disposable syringes. These things were very clean and emitted a cold luster. It made people's backs go numb just by looking at them. Yelena said, Can I start now? No, let me do it. Xia Changhe got up and picked up the pliers that could pry off fingernails and cut off fingers from the suitcase. He then walked to Li Chungri's side. Li Chungri's heart was filled with fear, but he was, after all, a specially trained secret agent. He did not show any signs of fear and could still maintain his last bit of calmness. You can't do this. I'm a Korean secret agent, Xia Chang has said, "My style is simple and direct. Tell me who else Jinjian has arranged and what his plan is, and I'll let you go. If you don't answer, you'll be in great pain. Let me remind you, don't think that you'll be able to endure any pain training. Your training is childish and laughable in my eyes. I'm done talking. Do you want to live or die?" Li Qingri gritted his teeth and said angrily, "Do you think I'll believe you? Let me tell you, you'll still kill me. Don't take me for a fool." A cold smile appeared on Xia Changhe's lip. "Looks like you've already made your decision. All right then, I'm also very curious about how much you can endure. Let's begin." "Go to hell." Li Qingri struggled like a madman, but he still could not break free from the rope. Xia Changhe grabbed his left hand and slowly placed Li Qingri's index finger into the pincer. Then, he pressed down with force. Blood spurted out and a finger fell to the ground. "Ah!" Li Qingri screamed and inhaled deeply from the pain. But before he could catch his breath, Xia Changhe used the pincer to clamp down on his middle finger, and without a word, he pressed down with force again. "Ah!" Li Qingri's middle finger also fell to the ground. Intense pain filled every nerve in his body, and his consciousness became a little dizzy. Xia Changhe said calmly, "That's all you've got? You still have the nerve to say that you're a specially trained secret agent?" "Bah!" Li Qingri opened his mouth and spat at Xia Changhe. Xia Changhe nodded. "That's more like a professional secret agent." After that, he cut off Li Qingri's thumb and ring finger. Li Qingri could not take it anymore and was about to faint. Yelena picked up a syringe from the black suitcase and said, "This is the company's special product. It can keep people awake." Xia Changhe took the syringe and smoothly inserted it into Li Qingri's neck. Under the effect of the liquid medicine, Li Qingri quickly woke up. He shouted, "Who are you?" Xia Changhe did not speak, but he cut off the last finger of Li Qingri's left hand. "Bastard! You'll regret it." Li Qingri was going crazy from the pain. He was enduring an indescribable pain, but he was very awake. "Li Qingri, I'll give you one last chance," Xia Changhe said coldly. "Answer my question, or I'll really start to torture you. At that time, you'll feel that dying in pain is also a kind of happiness." Cutting off 5 fingers on his left hand was not the real torture? Was this just a dessert before the meal? Li Qingri took a big breath of air, trying to relieve the pain in his body. His psychological defense was also quietly collapsing. Xia Changhe put down the forceps and picked up a scalpel and a nylon thread from the black suitcase. His voice was extremely cold. In ancient times, there was a kind of torture called death by 1,000 cut. Only the best executioner could do it, and I happen to be one of them. I rarely do it myself. For my son, I'll let you taste that kind of taste. I don't know. Li Qingri still had a trace of hope in his heart. Xia Changhe frowned. He used the nylon thread to wrap around Li Qingri's body. He was very skillful. The thin nylon thread tightened around Li Qingri's flesh, like a fishing net wrapping around his body. A few minutes later, the scalpel fell and cleanly cut off a piece of Li Qingri's flesh. "Ah!" Li Qingri screamed and completely collapsed. The scalpel cut by cut. Xia Changhe looked very focused, and his expression was terrifyingly calm. At this moment, he was like an artist who was carving a piece of wood, and his indifference and skill made him look like an ancient master-level executioner. On the 10th cut, Li Qingri couldn't take it anymore. He wailed, "Stop! I'll talk, I'll talk." Xia Changhe stopped and quietly looked at Li Qingri. Li Qingri cried and said with a trembling voice, "Anjin Jian and the CIB have a cooperative relationship. Anjin Jian paid some people to be in charge of monitoring Charlotte and the people around him, and to collect all information about Charlotte. Anjin Jian also provided the CIB with a shocking amount of funds. The CIB started a program called Angler. They planned to capture Charlotte in Russia." Xia Changhe said indifferently, Your eyes tell me that you haven't told me everything you know. Are you testing my patience? I've run out of patience. Let's continue. As he said that, he was about to cut someone again. No, no. Li Chengri took a deep breath. I also know that in Xiuxian found an assassin organization and hired an assassin to assassinate Charlotte. What assassin organization? I don't know. Let me go, don't kill me, don't kill me. Li Chengri cried. He had never been so weak. Okay, I'll let you go. Xia Changhe went around to Li Chengri's back. Really? Li Chengri seemed to see a glimmer of hope. Really? As soon as he said that, the scalpel in Xia Changhe's hand suddenly cut Li Chengri's neck. Blood gushed out like a fountain. Li Chengri's body trembled a few times before he completely calmed down. Xia Changhe threw the scalpel into the black suitcase and sneered. Angler program? They will catch a shark. Clean up this place. We're going to Russia. Yelena nodded her head and began to deal with Li Chengri's body. Xia Changhe took out Li Chengri's mobile phone and found the last number Li Chengri called. Then, he wrote a text message in Korean. President, everything is going smoothly. Charlotte is very alert. If there is any new information, I will contact you immediately. After sending the text message, Xia Changhe threw the mobile phone at Li Chengri's feet. Yelena poured gasoline on Li Chengri's body. 1 minute later, Li Chengri's body began to burn. Chapter 377. When he walked out of the airport, the people who came to pick him up were Qin Xiang and Xia Shui. School was already on vacation, but if Charlotte wasn't in Haizhu, there was no one in Haizhu's home. Xia Shui didn't want to go back. Moreover, Charlotte didn't feel at ease leaving her alone in Haizhu, so he arranged for her to help in the military factory. The company belonged to her brother, so the sister naturally had to help manage it. This was also a rare internship opportunity. As Charlotte's business grew bigger and bigger, she would also play an important role in Rema Group. Qin Xiang drove Charlotte's Chevrolet Suburban off-road van. His driving style was similar to his riding style. It was fast and brutal. Sister Xiang, slow down. Do you want to fly? In the car, Xia Shui was very nervous. Although she was wearing a seatbelt, it was not enough. Her hand grasped the handrail under the roof. Charlotte rolled his eyes at Xia Shui. How do you call your brother Qin? You don't want to learn, right? Xia Shui stuck out her tongue. Since the incident where she was almost harmed by Enchantment, she also had a little more awe for Charlotte. She didn't dare to simply throw a tantrum. Qin Xiang pursed her lips and smiled. Why are you scolding little Shui? I like it when she calls me Sister Xiang. All the employees in the military factory call me Sister Xiang. Do you want to scold them all? That's right. Xia Shui muttered a sentence, but she said it very quietly. Only she could hear it. Charlotte shrugged. Well, Sister Xiang, after I go to Russia, you have to look after little Shui. Don't let what happened last time happen again. Leave it to me, Qin Xiang said. I was cheated once. Can I be cheated a second time? Brother, I'm not a silly girl. Don't worry about me, Xia Shui said. Charlotte said, You don't know how dangerous this world is. I can protect you for one day, I will protect you for one day. If one day I can't protect you, then you have to rely on yourself. Brother, what do you want to say? Xia Shui looked at Charlotte with some worry. Charlotte smiled. It's nothing. In short, be careful. Don't trust people easily, especially strangers. Okay, I remember. Is that okay? Xia Shui pouted, but she was very grateful to her brother. After I go to Russia, I will go to the hospital to see Lu Sheng. He was injured because of you, Charlotte said. And I will go to see Brother Lu tomorrow. Xia Shui agreed. As they chatted, the Chevrolet Suburban arrived at the Thunder Horse Army factory in Whitestag. Charlotte went straight to the warehouse. In the warehouse, Anina was arguing with an officer. Her Chinese wasn't very good, and there was an unpleasant atmosphere between her and the officer. "What's the problem?" Charlotte walked over. When Anina saw Charlotte, she smiled and said to Charlotte in German, "Lucas, I was going to go to the airport with Qin Xiang to pick you up, but the military wanted to receive the first batch of goods. I couldn't leave, so I didn't come." Charlotte switched to German. "It's fine." "What happened?" Anina said, "This officer wants to take all the sniper rifles. If I give them all to him, we won't have any guns to go to the exhibition in Russia." "All right, I understand. I'll talk to him." Charlotte then said to the officer who came to receive the sniper rifles, "Officer, what's your name?" The officer said, "My surname is Tian Jun." Charlotte shook hands with Tian Jun. He looked at Tian Jun's military rank and greeted him with a smile. "Ah, it's Colonel Tian. Nice to meet you. I'm Charlotte. I know who you are. It's good that you're here. I'll talk to you." "I can't talk to this woman," Tian Jun said. "I'm from the equipment department. I have a bill of lading from them. It's written clearly that all the sniper rifles in stock are to be taken away." Charlotte furrowed his brow. "The situation is like this. Our company is preparing to go to Russia for an international small arms exhibition. We can't give you all the guns we have. We have to take a few to Russia. Why don't you take what you can take first, and we'll give the rest to you after we produce them?" Tian Jun shook his head. "How can I do that? This is an order. I have to carry it out." Charlotte's gaze shifted to a pile of plastic boxes. There were about 20 sniper rifles there. His line of sight shifted to a large wooden box behind Anina. His left eye twitched slightly, and he quickly saw the 4 sniper rifles inside. One of them was a special sniper rifle that he had personally modified with a range of 3,500 meters. That sniper rifle was also the sample gun that was going to be exhibited in Russia. Withdrawing his gaze, Charlotte said calmly, "Well, they're all there. There are only 20 this time. Let your people take them." 20 XL 2500 sniper rifles were sold for 1 million each. The total price of this batch of guns was 20 million. This was also the first batch of finished products since the establishment of the Lei Majuan factory, and its production capacity was very low. But in terms of its value, one had to admit that the arms business was really the most profitable business in the world. Tian Jun sneered. "Mr. Xia, there are more than 20, right? When I came, this woman was packing them up." He pointed to the large wooden box next to Anina and said, "I saw it. There are 4 more in that box." Anina had an innocent expression on her face. He broke in directly. "I couldn't stop him." Tian Jun said expressionlessly, "Where do you think you are? Stop me? In this military factory, I have privileges." "Privileges?" Charlotte's heart suddenly burst into anger, but he did not explode. "Yes, our equipment department directly supervises your military factory. We don't care about the production, but we have the final say on what is produced." Tian Jun's attitude was very tough. "I also want to take the 4 sniper rifles. Please forgive me, and don't make things unpleasant." Charlotte suddenly became angry. "I have already told you very clearly that the 4 sniper rifles are going to Russia to participate in the light weapons exhibition. I can't give them to you. We are going to participate in the light weapons exhibition, which is also approved by the higher-up. That I don't care. I only care about carrying out the order." Tian Jun said coldly. "Who gave the order? You don't have the authority to know." "Well," Charlotte pointed to the warehouse door. "You go, I won't give you a single one." Tian Jun suddenly became angry. "What did you say?" "Guards." The soldiers outside the door followed him in, all of them armed with guns. Tian Jun said, "Take all the guns away from me." Several soldiers did not hesitate, and directly went to take the engineering plastic box with the sniper rifles. Tian Jun called 2 soldiers and said sternly, "You 2 go and carry the box to the car." The two warriors who were called followed Anina to the wooden box behind her. You can't take it. Anina opened her hands. Are you guys reasonable? Get out of the way. A soldier reached out to push Anina. Anina staggered from his push and almost fell to the ground. Damn. Charlotte could no longer control his anger and kicked the soldier's butt. The soldier fell to the ground with a kick. The other soldier was stunned for a moment and suddenly raised the butt of his rifle and smashed it at Charlotte. Charlotte blocked the butt of the rifle with one hand and at the same time punched the soldier's lower abdomen. The soldier also cried out in pain, took 2 steps back, and fell to the ground. The sudden change shocked Tianjun and the soldiers who were busy carrying the guns. They never thought that Charlotte would make a move, because they were all carrying guns. Ordinary soldiers' guns didn't have bullets, and Charlotte had already observed it. So, he was not worried that these soldiers would shoot him. You actually dare dash, Tianjun pulled out his gun. Charlotte kicked away the gun in Tianjun's hand. This gun did have bullets, but he would not give Tianjun a chance. Rebel! Catch him! Tianjun roared angrily. Several soldiers swarmed forward, punching, kicking, and the butt of their guns at Xiaolei. A minute later, the soldiers who were as ferocious as wolves and tigers were lying on the ground in disarray. Each of them had a bloody nose and swollen face, and lost the ability to fight. Tianjun finally found his pistol in a corner. He rushed over and bent down to pick it up. However, just as he grabbed the pistol, a foot stepped on the back of his hand. Ah! Tianjun screamed in pain as his fingers were connected to his heart. Charlotte said coldly, Motherf *Ker, this is my military factory. Since when did you have the right to behave atrociously? Do you think this is a place? Your house? Let go of my hand. Tianjun was furious. Not only did Charlotte not move his foot, but he also turned his foot. Ah! Tianjun was sweating in pain, but his mouth was even tougher. Charlotte, you will regret it. I already regret it. Producing your Motherf *King sniper rifle. Charlotte said angrily, Who sent you here? Don't think that I don't know. Someone must be worried that the sniper rifle produced by my military factory will be a hit internationally, so they colluded with you to destroy it, right? Tell me, who is he? What nonsense are you talking about? You will go to the military court. Fine, I don't believe that you can cover the sky with one hand. Charlotte sneered. Worst comes to worst, I will open the military factory abroad, and you won't be able to buy a single rifle. Who do you think you are? Bastard, let go of my hand. Tianjun was going crazy. I will count to 3, 1, 2, 3. Charlotte looked coldly at Tianjun, who was kneeling on the ground. Let go after 3 counts? He wanted to hear him count to 300. Let go of him. A woman's voice came from the warehouse door. Without looking back, Charlotte knew it was Tang Yuyan just from the voice. He glanced away from Tang Yuyan and removed his foot from Tianjun's foot. Tianjun suddenly grabbed his pistol. Bang! A gunshot. Tianjun was shocked and the gun in his hand suddenly fell to the ground. Tang Yuyan blew the blue smoke from the muzzle and said slowly, Tianjun, it's not too late to leave now. If you continue to make trouble, you won't be able to bear the consequences. Tang Yuyan, what are you doing? Tianjun said coldly, Don't think that I'm afraid of your father. Your father can't make the decision on this matter. Tang Yuyan said, You really don't need to be afraid of my father, but you should be afraid of the gun in my hand. Charlotte is not someone you can threaten. You're not qualified enough. Why don't you try? I'll give you a chance to pick up your gun. As long as you aim at Charlotte, I'll shoot you. Tianjun bent down to pick up the pistol that fell to the ground. Although he wanted to point the gun at Charlotte's head and make Charlotte kneel and apologize, he didn't dare. Because he knew very well that when someone from Innings 101 said that he would kill someone, he would really kill someone. You don't dare? Then take your men and scram. Tang Yuyan said, Also, tell the people behind you that this exhibition in Russia is approved by the higher-ups. If they still want to ruin it, I'll make it big and they won't be able to bear the consequences." Charlotte looked at Tang Yuyan. He had a hunch that Tang Yuyan knew who sent Tianjun to make trouble. "Let's go." Tianjun finally didn't dare to challenge Tang Yuyan. He ordered and left the warehouse with a few lame soldiers. Chapter 378. Tianjun left with his men, and the tense atmosphere disappeared. "Lucas, are you okay?" Anina came over and asked with concern. She couldn't help with Charlotte's fight, and she was worried that Charlotte would get hurt. Charlotte patted Anina on the shoulder and said, "I'm fine. You can go back to the office. I'll talk to one." "Okay." Anina responded obediently and left the warehouse. When she passed by Tang Yuyan, she nodded to Tang Yuyan. Tang Yuyan also smiled at Anina. After Anina left, Charlotte went straight to the point and said, "I know you know who is causing trouble. Tell me, who is it?" Tang Yuyan was silent for a moment before she said, "It's not a person, but the company." "Company?" Charlotte was surprised. "Hanwu Weapons Company." Tang Yuyan said, "We are the largest weapons manufacturing company in China. We mainly produce light weapons and ammunition, as well as individual protective equipment." Charlotte suddenly understood. He had established the Thunder Horse Army Factory to produce the world's best sniper rifles and superior pistols. This had actually touched the interests of many people. In other words, he had already snatched someone else's cake. How could others remain indifferent? The XL 2500 sniper rifle was brought to the Russian Light Weapons Exhibition. With its excellent performance that surpassed all the similar sniper rifles in the world, it would definitely be a hit. What followed would be a good thing for both fame and fortune. Domestic orders and foreign orders would be overwhelming. The Thunder Horse Army Factory would definitely attract a huge development opportunity and quickly become bigger and stronger. How could Hanwu Weapons Company, which also produced light weapons, endure such a thing? The appearance of Tianjun was definitely not the end of the matter. This was just a signal, a beginning. Tang Yuyan smiled bitterly. "I only heard the news from my father an hour ago, so I came here. I didn't expect them to really cause trouble." Charlotte said, "Who is the boss of Hanwu Weapons Company?" "Yi Kuan." Tang Yuyan said a name and then said, "He is the favorite student of Mu Jianfeng, the boss of Shenzhou Industry Group." Charlotte frowned slightly. "Mu Jianfeng is also involved?" Tang Yuyan said, "I'm not sure about that. Shenzhou Industrial Group produces heavy equipment, and you did not hinder their interests. However, considering the relationship between Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan, it's hard to say." After a pause, she said, "Don't take this matter to heart. I'll be your escort. There won't be any problems with this trip to Russia. I'm here to tell you that the plane has been arranged. We can fly directly to Moscow tomorrow." Those people probably knew that you had arranged for the plane, so they rushed ahead of you to snatch the gun. "If I don't do anything and they take the gun away, how can I go to Moscow to participate in the exhibition?" Charlotte couldn't hold back his anger. What right do they have to do such a thing? Just because they're a national company? There is competition in every industry, not to mention that you have entered the military industry that has not been opened to the public. Your Thunder Horse military factory is still in the embryonic stage. Of course, there will be people who want to kill your company in the cradle. Do you think those people at Hanwu Weapons Company will watch you develop the Thunder Horse military factory into a company that can directly compete with their company for defense orders? It's fine if you don't have the strength, but you do. Xia Lei sneered, "Haha, if you put it that way, then is it my fault?" "I didn't mean that." Tang Yuyan said, "I know you are very angry, but what I want to tell you is that it's useless to be angry. Since you have begun to snatch the cake of those people, and threaten the position of Hanwoo Weapons Company, then you should have the awareness of fighting with them. Awareness of fighting? Charlotte was slightly stunned for a moment. He didn't know why, but Tang Yuan's words were like a stick that hit him on the head and woke him up. Yes, he had entered the military industry that was not open to private capital. He was competing with a national arms company. He had threatened the interests of those people. How could the other party let it go? And since he had already taken this step, unless he withdrew, he had to have the awareness of fighting with these people. Would he withdraw from the military industry? No, he, Xia Lei, had never been a deserter, and he was definitely not a coward who would surrender at the slightest threat. Since he wanted to start a war, then he had to snatch the food from the tiger's mouth. Those people didn't want to see the Thunder Horse military factory develop. He wanted to develop the Thunder Horse military factory into a super arms company like Lockheed Martin. Have you thought it through? Tang Yuyan looked at Charlotte and guessed what he was thinking. Xia Lei suddenly smiled. It was a very natural smile. Thank you for your words. I've thought it through. I won't overcomplicate things, but I won't oversimplify them either. I'll do what I should do. No matter who they are or what kind of interest group they are, I am not afraid of them. I always believe that our country is not a country where anyone can do whatever they want. No one can cover the sky with one hand and distort the truth. Tang Yuyan also smiled. It's good that you can understand. Okay, show me around. I am very curious about how those sniper rifles are produced. I will let Qin Xiang show you around. We are going to Russia tomorrow. I have to talk to Anina and explain some things to her. Charlotte said. All right, you go do what you need to do. I will just take a look around. Tang Yuyan said. Charlotte called Qin Xiang over and asked Qin Xiang to bring Tang Yuyan around. He came to the office. Anina was arranging the blueprints. When she saw Charlotte come in, she put down the blueprints. Lucas, I am a little worried. What are you worried about? Charlotte walked over. You hit those soldiers and that officer. They will come looking for trouble with you. Anina frowned, looking very worried. Xia Lei smiled. What's so troublesome about that? Let them come. I will take them all. But, Charlotte held her hand. Don't forget, our dream is to build a world-famous super arms company. Our XL 2500 sniper rifle is just the beginning. No matter what difficulties or setbacks there are, they will not be able to defeat our dream. Anina also held Charlotte's hand tightly. I am relieved to hear you say that. You are right. It is our common dream to develop the Thunder Horse military factory into a world-famous super arms company. No matter what difficulties we encounter, I will be with you. We will realize our dream together. For the sake of his dream, no evil could stop him. I am going to Russia tomorrow, Charlotte said. Before I leave, I have to tell you something. Say it. Anina listened. Charlotte said, with Tang Yuyan here, those people will not come looking for trouble. Once we leave, they will definitely come back. If they want to take the guns in the warehouse, let them take them. We will burn the blueprints. The data in the hard drive must also be erased. We cannot let them get it. Anina nodded. I will remember. Also, the most important thing is the machine tools in our workshop. Charlotte said, those smart machine tools are the core of our XL 2500 sniper rifle production. They are also our secret. You cannot tell anyone. Those machine tools were designed by you, and we modified them together. Each machine is unique. Only the parts produced by them can be used to make a qualified XL 2500. Other machine tools will not work. Anina suddenly laughed. Lucas, you're really cunning. You burned the blueprints and erased the data in the hard drive. Even if other companies took our XL 2500 back and copied it, they would only be able to create a shape and not the same performance. Let's do it now. I will destroy the blueprints. You go and erase the data on the hard drive. Charlotte said. Okay, that is easy. Anina then began to operate the computer and erase the data on the hard drive. What was certain was that after the equipment department received the first batch of sniper rifles, the 20 guns would most likely go to Hanwoo Weapons Company. Someone would disassemble the XL-2500, study it, and then copy it. However, the person who made the copy could only make a similar shape. They would not be able to make the XL-2500 sniper rifle. After making all these preparations, Charlotte could go to Russia with peace of mind. The blueprints burned in the wastepaper basket and the faint smoke filled the office. Do. The phone on the office desk suddenly rang. It was the security guard's internal line. Charlotte picked up the phone. "What is it?" The security guard said, "Chairman Xia, there is a woman here. She wants to see you." "She didn't say who she is?" Suddenly, a woman's voice came from the phone. "It's me. I have something to discuss with you." It was Fu Mingmei's voice. Why did Fu Mingmei come here at this critical juncture? Charlotte was curious. He told Anina about it, then left the office and walked towards the main door. Fu Mingmei stood at the main door and was blocked by the soldiers on duty. Also blocked was Shintu Tianin's car, the silver Rolls-Royce Phantom. Charlotte walked in front of Fu Mingmei. "Mingmei, what's the matter?" As he spoke, he glanced at the Rolls-Royce Phantom, but he did not see Shintu Tianin sitting inside. "Stop looking. She's not inside. She asked me to pick you up," Fu Mingmei said. "Tianin is looking for me? What's the matter?" Charlotte was very busy and did not want to go. Fu Mingmei said, "Of course it's a good thing. Is it a bad thing?" "I'm not joking." Charlotte said, "I'm busy. I have to go to Russia tomorrow, and there are many things for me to deal with. If there's nothing important, I won't go." Fu Mingmei was unhappy. "You're getting more and more arrogant." Charlotte smiled bitterly. "You know I'm not that kind of person. I'm really busy. Tell me, what's the matter?" "Someone wants to talk business with you," Fu Mingmei said. "Who?" At this time, Charlotte could not think of anyone who wanted to talk business with him, and what kind of business it was. "A big shot. I don't know his name," Fu Mingmei said, "but if Tianin can ask you to go, and even I don't know his name, he must have a big background. Let's go. It's a good thing. You won't regret it. You see, Tianin asked me to pick you up in her car. Isn't that enough sincerity?" Charlotte thought for a moment. "Okay, I'll go with you. But I'll drive my car so it's convenient to come back." "Okay, I'll wait for you." Fu Mingmei smiled at Charlotte. Chapter 379. Charlotte thought the place to meet was the Wanxiang Group's Wings building, but Fu Mingmei drove out of the city and came to the Capital International Golf Course on the north bank of the Mingtombs Reservoir. This was the best golf course in the capital, covering an area of 3,600 acres, with 18 holes and a par of 72. More importantly, it had beautiful scenery. It was also a place that the rich and famous people in the capital liked to come to. Having a VIP membership card of the Capital International Golf Course was almost a symbol of status. Charlotte had heard of this place long ago, but he had never been there. "Do you know?" In a golf cart, Fu Mingmei said to Charlotte, "In order to arrange for you to meet that person and talk business, Tianin has booked this place." "She booked this place?" Charlotte was a little surprised. "How much did that cost?" Fu Mingmei smiled lightly. "Does money matter to her, whether it's more or less?" Charlotte smiled bitterly. He felt that he had asked a stupid question. Since the fall of the Gu family, Shintu Tianin had received help from Gu Quan, and the speed of capital expansion had been even faster. Her current assets were probably close to 100 billion yuan. Would she care about the money to book a golf course? Looking at this matter from another perspective, they had not yet met, but the person who had asked him to talk business had already shown his strength in an extremely high-profile manner. Combined with what had happened before, It seemed that the identity of that person was not difficult to guess. Could it be Yi Kun from the Hanwoo Weapons Company? Charlotte secretly said in his heart. Fu Mingmei glanced at Charlotte, hesitated for a moment and said, Charlotte, I have something to say, but I don't know if I should say it. Xia Lei collected his thoughts and smiled indifferently. You and I can be considered very familiar old friends. If you have anything to say, just say it. Do you think I will be angry with you just because of one sentence? Okay, then I'll say it. Fu Mingmei said, You should be with Tianyin. She needs a helper like you. If you two get together, you will be the best and most compatible couple in the world. You can achieve greater success in the Wanxiang Group, so why bother to run your small company? The Wanxiang Group is the stage for you to display your talent. No matter how strong Tianyin is, she is still a woman. If you marry her and start a family with her, and she gives birth to your child in the future, won't the Wanxiang Group belong to your son? Charlotte just listened with a faint smile on his face. Fu Mingmei said, I don't understand. Gu Kawu can see this, and Xiuxian can also see this. Why can't you see this? Don't tell me you're not interested in such a huge dowry from the Wanxiang Group? Say something, what are you laughing at? Charlotte chuckled and said, First of all, I want to thank you for your kindness. I know you are doing this for my own good. However, I am not Gu Kawu, nor am I in Xiuxian. I grew up in a civilian area, went to an ordinary primary and secondary school, and even worked on a construction site. I know it's hard to start a business, so I cherish what I have now. My company is like my child, I won't leave it behind. One more thing, and the most important thing, is that I, Xia Lei, will not live my life behind a woman. His current assets were probably only a tenth of Shintu Tianyin's, but it was all earned by him. It was his own. The Wanxiang Group's assets were indeed close to 100 billion, but that was Shintu Tianyin's. It was the Shin-Tu family clans. If he went, what would that amount to? He, Charlotte, was never a man who relied on a woman to live off him. Fu Mingmei sighed and did not say another word. The golf cart stopped on a patch of grass. Charlotte saw a few people standing on the grass. Shintu Tianyin and Xiuxian, as well as Mu Jianfeng and a middle-aged man he did not know. Next to the four of them stood a caddy, a tall Westerner. Charlotte's gaze fell on the face of the person who was chatting with Mu Jianfeng. He thought to himself, this person looks very familiar with Mu Jianfeng. Is he really Yi Kun from the Hanwoo Weapons Company? Shintu Tianyin waved at Charlotte, Lei, come here quickly. Charlotte walked over. And Xiuxian looked at Charlotte with a cold expression. He could not forget the humiliation Charlotte had given him. He could not forget the price his father had to pay to bail him out. Now, looking at Xia Lei, who was walking over confidently with a smile on his face, he really wanted to shoot Xia Lei in the face. The Westerner standing beside the caddy also looked at Charlotte. His eyes were very careful. Mu Jianfeng and the middle-aged man next to him also focused on Charlotte. Mu Jianfeng whispered something to the middle-aged man next to him. Charlotte saw the reactions of these people. He had some guesses in his heart, but he kept a smile on his face. Tianyin, it turns out that old Mu wants to talk business with me. You really should have called me first. Old Mu and I are old acquaintances. There is no need to pursue this kind of mystery, right? Shintu Tianyin said with a smile. I wanted to tell you, but old Mu didn't let me. Mu Jianfeng said with a smile. I have my reasons. Hello, old Mu. Charlotte stretched out his hands to shake hands with Mu Jianfeng and said politely, Long time no see. Old Mu is getting younger and younger. Mu Jianfeng said with a smile, Boy, your mouth is still so good at talking. Back then, when you were still opening a small shop on the street of Haizhu, I could see that you were not a person in a small pond. Sooner or later, you would soar to the sky. It's only been a little more than a year, and even I, this old man, have a whole new level of respect for your achievements. Old Mu is overpraising me. Charlotte said politely. Mu Jianfeng said, Lazy, let me introduce you. This is Yi Kun, my student. Oh, hello, Mr. Yi. Charlotte still stretched out his hands and shook hands with Yi Kun. Yi Kun smiled. I heard that a genius came to the capital. Today I see you, you are really extraordinary. Nice to meet you, nice to meet you. Charlotte's face was also full of smiles, but he was cursing in his heart, nice to meet you. And Xiaoxian came over with a beautiful smile on her face. Mr. Xia, do you play golf? If you do, how about we play a round? Charlotte, a construction worker, how could he know a noble sport like golf? He was purposely making a fool of Charlotte. Charlotte looked at Xiaoxian and pretended to be surprised. Oh, isn't this Mr. N? Out of prison? When did you get out? Why didn't you tell me so I could have picked you up? And Xiaoxian's smile suddenly froze on her face. Fu Mingmei couldn't help but laugh out loud. Shintu Tianyin glared at Fu Mingmei, and Fu Mingmei covered her mouth. Shintu Tianyin said, Why don't we go have a drink so we can talk business? She knew that Charlotte had never played golf before and didn't want to see him make a fool of himself. No, it's the same here. The one who spoke was Yi Kun. Isn't it better to talk business while playing golf? Then okay. Shintu Tianyin agreed. Whether it was Mu Jianfeng or Yi Kun, she couldn't afford to offend them. Although the assets of the Wanxiang Group were amazing, Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kun were the leaders of two national brands and represented a force. She had the upper hand when it came to comparing money with these two. But other than money, she was at a disadvantage in everything else. The poor don't fight with the rich, and the rich don't fight with the officials. She knew the truth of this sentence. And Xiaoxian smiled and waved to the caddy, saying, Bring a club over. Mr. Xia doesn't have a club. The caddy ran over and handed a club to Charlotte. Charlotte casually waved the club, as if he was looking for a feel. Mu Jianfeng pulled Yi Kun aside and whispered, What are you doing? You want to talk business with him, don't provoke him. Yi Kun also lowered his voice. Teacher, this Charlotte is young and aggressive. To deal with such a person, if we talk directly with him, he will most likely ask for an exorbitant price. I will first dampen his spirit, then talk with him. It will be twice the result with half the effort. Mu Jianfeng smiled. You always surprise me. Isn't this what you taught me, teacher? Mu Jianfeng said with a smile. Teacher, if you can buy the smart machine tool from Charlotte, I have to buy his military factory from him no matter what. He is the gold mine in our hand. The conversation between the master and disciple was very quiet, but how could it be hidden from Charlotte, who had the ability to read lips? Charlotte couldn't help but smile. So you really came to my military factory. You want to dampen my spirit before talking to me, in case I ask for an exorbitant price. It's not bad to be arrogant and narcissistic to this extent. At this time, An Xiaoxian took a shot. The golf ball flew up from the table, drew an arc in the air, then fell on the grass, rolling towards a hole. When it stopped, it was only 2 steps away from the hole. And Xiaoxian walked over, glanced at it, then gently pushed the club, pushing the golf ball into the hole on the grass. Yi Kun applauded An Xiaoxian and praised, Mr. N is really amazing, your style of play is similar to mine, our level is also similar. The caddy ran over to pick up the ball. Shintu Tianyin moved closer to Charlotte's ear and whispered, I will briefly explain the rules of this sport. There are 18 holes in golf, the one who hits the hole with the least number of strokes wins. Charlotte smiled. It's that simple? Shintu Tianyin gently leaned against him. You have never played before, it's fine as long as you know the rules, it's not shameful even if you lose. It's fine if you lose, but if you don't even know the rules, then it's a joke. And Xiaoxian walked over to Charlotte and Shintu Tianyin with a mocking smile. Mr. Xia, are you learning golf skills at the last minute? It's okay, I'll let you have 10 strokes. Shintu Tianyin was about to speak, but Charlotte leaned against her and said, You're so confident? Let me have 10 strokes? And Xiaoxian said disdainfully, I think I overestimated you, but if you let me have too many strokes, it's not fun to play. Yi Kun interrupted. I will also participate, but I don't need an Xiuxian to let me have it. And Xiuxian was also polite. It's fine if Mr. Yi doesn't let me have it, how would I dare to let you have it? Yi Kun looked at Charlotte. Mr. Xia, do you dare to accept the challenge? Charlotte said lightly, what's there to not dare? It's nothing. However, since it's a competition, there must be a prize, right? Why don't we each put up 10 million, set up a winner's prize, and the winner will take all the prize, how about that? And Xiuxian and Yi Kun looked at each other and laughed. Shintu Tianin furrowed her brows. She wanted to advise Xia Lei to take back his words, but when she saw Xia Lei brimming with confidence and brimming with vigor, she sighed in her heart. Whatever, it's good to let him suffer a bit. It's not good for him to always be so overbearing. At this time, Mu Jianfeng spoke. All right, I will be your referee. Chapter 380. There was no necessary connection between playing golf and discussing business, but Yi Kun wanted to talk to Charlotte in a condescending and domineering manner. Therefore, he wanted to join in Xiuxian and Charlotte's game to make Charlotte lose face, lose his drive, and lose confidence. This was a kind of power that a national boss had over a private boss. He didn't need to please Charlotte. He wanted to crush Charlotte like a road roller. He wanted to crush Charlotte. Not only that, he wanted Charlotte to be obedient. As for Xiuxian, his purpose in playing with Charlotte was even simpler. He just wanted to see Charlotte make a fool of himself and make Charlotte lose face. The 30 million had already been transferred to Shintu Tianin's account. The winner of the game would receive the 30 million. The three men who were about to compete each had their own thoughts. Shintu Tianin and Mu Jianfeng watched from the side, each with their own thoughts. Okay, let's start. Mu Jianfeng said, this isn't a professional competition, so there's no need for too many rules. Who's going first? Charlotte said, before we officially start, let me try it out. I played a few times in Germany before, but it's been a long time. I need to get a feel for it. Mu Jianfeng nodded, no problem. And Xiuxian smiled and said, Mr. Xia, when did you play golf in Germany? You really can't judge a book by its cover. Oh right, is it a German construction site? It's a German prison, Charlotte said. Prison again. Hearing the word prison, and Xiuxian's face darkened. Charlotte placed a golf ball on the table and swung to the nearest hole. The golf ball rolled to another place. Ah! And Xiuxian laughed again. This level was not even considered an amateur. Yi Kun also laughed. Mr. Xia, I don't think you've played golf before. It's okay, you can take the money back. We'll just play. In the future, practice more and you'll be able to improve. In the face of Xiuxian and Yi Kun's mockery, Charlotte appeared very calm. He placed another ball on the table, and then fiercely swung his club towards the furthest hole. This time, his swing, force, and direction had all improved significantly. Although the golf ball still flew somewhere else and didn't fall into the hole, the distance between the two was not very far. Then, Charlotte played 2 more strokes. These 2 shots were purely aimless. One of the golf balls flew into a puddle of water, while the other flew over a grassy slope. They couldn't even be seen anymore. And Xiuxian and Yi Kun could not help but look at each other, unable to hold back their laughter. In the eyes of the two, Charlotte's skill level was simply not up to par. It would be very easy for them to win the competition. Both of them couldn't wait to see Charlotte humiliated. Shintu Tianin walked to Charlotte's side and said worriedly, Lei, no one can learn golf well in a few minutes, let alone play at a high level. Otherwise, I think we should just forget about it. Charlotte smiled, it's okay. I still have confidence in these 2 amateurs. Shintu Tianin. This sentence almost made Xiuxian and Yi Kun choke. A person who had never played golf before actually said they were amateurs. Charlotte said, "Old Moo, I'm ready. You can start." "I'll let the two amateurs start." Hearing this, Mu Jianfeng's face was a little embarrassed. Yi Kuan was his student. Charlotte's words were obviously not giving him face. "Oomph." Mu Jianfeng snorted. "Yi Kuan, then you start. Play well. Don't let Mr. Xia, a professional player, look down on you." Yi Kuan sneered. He prepared a little, and then swung his club to hit the ball. The golf ball fell on the grass and rolled into the hole. The caddy ran over and picked up the golf ball. And Xiuxian also walked over and swung the ball. The golf ball he hit flew closer to the hole and rolled into the hole. This shot, he actually played better than Yi Kuan. The two of them stood at the side and looked at Charlotte. They had a gloating look on their faces as they waited to watch a good show. Charlotte walked over, swung the ball, and hit the ball. Shintu Tianyin closed her eyes. She didn't dare to see the result of Charlotte's shot. However, after a few seconds, she didn't hear anyone speak. It was strangely quiet. She couldn't help but open her eyes. She saw the caddy run out of the hole and reach out to pick up the golf ball that Charlotte hit. She was instantly stunned. It was also a hole in one shot. And Xiuxian and Yi Kuan couldn't laugh anymore. They were waiting to see Charlotte make a fool of himself. However, Charlotte's shot was more elegant and clean than any of them. The golf ball didn't even roll on the grass and flew straight into the hole. Mu Jianfeng also had a strange expression on his face. It was as if he had seen a ghost. Actually, whether it was Shintu Tianyin, Mu Jianfeng, or an Xin and Yi Kuan, none of them knew that the few shots that Charlotte had just tested were actually for him to learn how to play golf. His learning was no ordinary learning. His left eye could measure the distance between the golf ball and the hole. His brain could calculate the speed and resistance of the golf ball in the air. His body could adjust to the most coordinated degree. In short, before he hit a ball, his brain would calculate everything like a calculator. He could even simulate the trajectory of the golf ball in the air in his mind. His brain would calculate the result, and his left eye would lock onto the part that needed to be hit. The golf ball that he hit would fly into the hole like a guided missile. With this kind of ability, let alone an Xiuxian and Yi Kuan, these two amateurs, even if Tiger Woods were to fight Xia Lei, he would not even be able to find his direction. The difference was quickly revealed. On the second hole, an Xiuxian and Yi Kuan couldn't make a hole in one shot. Both of them had to hit 2 shots before entering the hole. On the other hand, Charlotte stood in front of the tee and made a shot. The golf ball flew into the hole with a whoosh. It didn't even touch the grass. The third hole, the fourth hole, the fifth hole, and Xiuxian and Yi Kuan needed more and more shots, but Charlotte was still as barbaric as ever. No matter how long the hole was, he would always make a hole in one shot. The spectators were dumbfounded. Most of the spectators knew a few professional players. They also knew the level of professional players. However, compared to Charlotte, those professional players were like amateurs. And Xiuxian and Yi Kuan's feelings at that moment could only be described with one word: King dog. It was another hole in one shot. Charlotte spread his hands. Mr. Yi, this is boring. It's a waste of time. Why don't I finish all the holes and you guys chase after me? How about that? Competing with you guys is not difficult at all. I don't even want to play anymore. He directly slapped them in the face. He didn't give them any face at all. And Xiuxian and Yi Kuan's faces were extremely gloomy. If they had the ability to beat Charlotte, they would probably rush up and beat up Charlotte. However, this fantasy would never become reality. But at this moment, Xia Lei placed a golf ball on the table. He glanced at the furthest hole and then at the golf ball. He suddenly pulled out the golf ball, and the golf ball flew out with a whoosh. It drew a nearly straight line in the air, and flew a distance of dozens of meters before plunging headfirst into the grass. There was no hole in one shot. However, the ball was only a few centimeters away from the furthest hole. The caddy's jaw dropped to the ground. Charlotte smiled and said, "I'm sorry. There are times when I need 2 shots to enter a hole, just like you guys." At that moment, and Xiaoxian and Yi Kuan wanted to die. In fact, Charlotte deliberately missed the shot. Was there a need to continue the competition? There was no need for that. If they continued, and Xiaoxian and Yi Kuan would only be humiliating themselves. Hee. Mu Jianfeng laughed dryly and tried to smooth things over. "Charlotte, I really couldn't tell that you're so good at golf. From what I see, with your ability, you can totally enter professional golf. You can get the highest honor." Charlotte said calmly, "Elder Mu, you're too polite. The competition is not over yet. Maybe Mr. N and Mr. Yi will surpass me." And Xiaoxian threw the club to the caddy. He had obviously given up the competition. Yi Kuan also threw the club to the caddy. He also laughed dryly. "Mr. Xia, I'm convinced of my loss. The prize money is yours." Xia Lei walked to the caddy's side and handed the club to him. The caddy looked at Charlotte gratefully because he could feel Charlotte's respect for him. "Charlotte, let's go have a cup of tea," Mu Jianfeng said. Yi Kuan said, "Well, I have a business to discuss with you. I had to postpone a very important meeting because of this business deal." This was simply the tone of a high-ranking person. It was overbearing. Charlotte said calmly, "Don't drink tea. I don't want to drink tea because my stomach is not feeling well recently. What business do you want to discuss with me? Just say it here. Your time is precious and mine is also precious. If I knew that you wanted to discuss business with me, I would have gone to the movies with my friends." "You." Yi Kuan's face suddenly changed. Hanwu Weapons Company had already sent people to buy his military factory. They had even sent people to cause trouble. Charlotte did not need to be polite with Yi Kuan at all. Now he understood. Yi Kuan first sent people to the military factory to forcibly take a gun, so he did not have a gun to attend the small arms exhibition in Moscow. Then he invited him here for a negotiation. It could be said that he had evil intentions. If he didn't kick such a person, then he would be considered very restrained. "Charlotte, why are you still so angry?" Mu Jianfeng's old face was also a little embarrassed. "The business that Yi Kuan wants to discuss with you is not the small business of processing spare parts that you accepted before. It can make you rich for a lifetime." Xia Lei sneered, "I am rich and powerful. Who do I need to be rich and powerful?" "You." Mu Jianfeng was also so angry that he could not speak. He obviously did not expect that Charlotte would not give him face. Yi Kuan said gloomily, "Charlotte, are you not going to listen to what business I want to discuss with you?" Charlotte said, "We are all smart people. Even if you don't say it, I know that you are here for my military factory. Since you know, then give me a price." Yi Kuan's tone was very firm. Charlotte said, "What if I don't sell it?" Yi Kuan sneered, "That is not up to you." Mu Jianfeng advised from the side, "Charlotte, you have to think clearly. Would I still harm you? This matter is the same as when you sold us the machine tool. And the result? I don't need to tell you the result." Chapter 381. It would have been fine if Mu Jianfeng didn't mention the smart machine tool, but once it was mentioned, he couldn't help but get angry. Back then, he and Long Bing went to Germany and risked life imprisonment or even death to steal the smart machine tool technology from Joseph. After returning home, Shenzhou Industry Group couldn't produce a qualified smart machine tool, so he used his own hands to duplicate Joseph's smart machine tool. Just as he was looking forward to making a big deal out of this smart machine tool, Shenzhou Industry Group came again. They bought his machine tool as if they were the superior, and they didn't allow him to duplicate it. So be it, he actually thought it through. After all, he was contributing to the country's manufacturing industry, and he also received a considerable amount of money. At that time, he was in urgent need of money to expand his business. But now it was different. His business was on the right track, and the future was bright. How could he give away the fruit that was about to ripen like before? Unfortunately, Mu Jianfeng brought up the past again, and even wanted to duplicate the forceful purchase from last time. How could he not be angry? But before Charlotte could say anything, Yi Kuan interrupted again. Charlotte, it was a good thing that you could sell the smart machine tool to Shenzhou Industry Group. You contributed to the country. Now, Hanwoo Weapons Company wants to buy your military factory, which is also a good thing. We are the true leaders in this industry. If we acquire your military factory, you will be able to earn even more money and credit for your hard work. Be quick, name a price. Be quick, name a price? This tone sounded like God, and Xiuxian looked at Charlotte with schadenfreude. He seemed to know some inside information. Shintu Tianyin looked at Charlotte worriedly. She couldn't help with this kind of thing, nor could she interrupt. Are you done? After enduring for a long time, Charlotte finally spoke. If you are done, I will say something too. Just one sentence, not for sale. You better think it through. Yi Kuan was already showing signs of turning hostile. Charlotte laughed coldly. I have thought it through very clearly. Not for sale. Didn't you hear me? Who do you think you are? You can do whatever you want? Charlotte. Mu Jianfeng tried to smooth things over. I'll say this as a middleman. Don't think things are too simple. To be honest, I think highly of you, young man. I don't want you to go too far down the wrong path. If I don't sell my company, will I be walking on the wrong path? Charlotte looked at Mu Jianfeng. Elder Mu, I respect you, but that doesn't mean I have to listen to you. My position on this matter is very clear. You don't have to say anything more, lest we don't meet again in the future. Charlotte's meaning was clear. If you continue to help your student Yi Kuan persuade me, we won't even be friends anymore. Mu Jianfeng shook his head with a bitter smile. You're still so stubborn. Do you really want me to explain myself? Charlotte said, Go ahead. Forget it. Yi Kuan, you do the talking. Mu Jianfeng didn't put down his pride in the end and left some leeway. Yi Kuan looked at Charlotte. His eyes were filled with anger. Charlotte, I'll make it clear. If you don't sell it to me today, your small military factory will be finished sooner or later. I have the ability to make sure you can't sell a single gun. I also have the ability to send people to inspect your factory every now and then. I can order you to stop business at any time. Also, as long as I say the word, all the technicians in your factory will come to work at Hanwoo Weapons Company. They will have your technology and come to our company to manufacture your product. At that time, how will you compete with us? These 3 points were like 3 knives. Any one of them could kill the Thunder Horse military factory, which was still in its infancy. What was worse was that Yi Kuan wasn't bluffing. He did have the ability to stab these 3 knives into the body of the Thunder Horse military factory one by one. Mu Jianfeng sighed, Xiaolei sell it. I guarantee that Hanwoo Weapons Company will give you a price that you'll be satisfied with. You have the ability. You don't have to get involved in the military market. With the money, there are many things you can do. To put it bluntly, he wanted to drive Charlotte out of the market. Tang Yuyan was right. How could a monopolized market allow a private entrepreneur to enter? Moreover, this private entrepreneur had the ability to overturn the few mountains in the military market. Sigh. Charlotte sighed. Now that you mention it, I'm very worried. All right, I'll name a price. Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan couldn't help but look at each other. They couldn't hide the joy in their eyes. Because they knew the value of the XL 2500. And Xiuxian said in disdain, I thought you had some backbone. After saying so much and going around in circles, isn't it just to ask for more money? A construction worker is a construction worker. Charlotte pretended not to hear such mockery and only smiled. Mr. Xia, name your price. Yi Kuan smiled. 2 billion? Charlotte shook his head. 3 billion? Yi Kuan was already cursing in his heart. Charlotte still shook his head. Yi Kun couldn't hold it in any longer. Mr. Xia, I'm not a fool. 3 billion is already the highest price I can offer. You should stop now. Xia Lei faintly said, the price you offered is far from what I expected. Add 2 zeros at the back and it's more reasonable. Adding 2 zeros after 3 billion, it would be 300 billion. As soon as this price came out, Yi Kun's expression changed. Charlotte, how dare you ask for such an exorbitant price? Charlotte sneered. No money? Why are you pretending to be a rich man if you don't have money? If you want to buy it, I won't sell it. You're forcing me to sell it. I named a price, but you can't afford it. Are you kidding me? You. Yi Kun had never been teased like this before. Absolutely not. Charlotte was the first. Mu Jianfeng's expression didn't look good either, but he didn't say anything else. He could already see that Charlotte didn't plan to sell the Thunder Horse military factory. Mr. Yi, Charlotte said, you said that you have the ability to make my military factory close down. I believe that you have the ability to do so, but I believe in the laws of our country and the decision-makers of our country. They won't let people like you do whatever they want. Yi Kun snorted coldly. You'll have to try to know. Charlotte said, in our country, no one can cover the sky with one hand and you can't either. Let me tell you, I have a chance to go to Russia tomorrow. The XL 2500 sniper rifle will be a hit there. Don't say that I can't sell it. At that time, those who want to buy it will depend on my mood. Yi Kun's face was gloomy and he didn't speak. Charlotte continued, you said that you can let people check my military factory every now and then and make it close down for reorganization. Let me tell you, when the XL 2500 sniper rifle becomes the best sniper rifle in the world, the whole world will rush to report that China's military industry is finally proud. Do you still want to make things difficult for me at that time, and make my military factory close down for reorganization? Let me tell you, the people above will trample you to death. Yi Kun's face became even more gloomy. Charlotte said again, as for you saying that you can poach my workers at any time, I welcome it. As long as you give them a higher salary, I'm willing to make more money for them. My Rema group started from manufacturing machinery. Every worker is a mechanic. I now have nearly 2,000 workers. If you poach all of them, I'll give them a farewell party. Enough. Yi Kun couldn't suppress his anger. Let's wait and see. Mu Jianfeng shook his head. Forget it, I'm leaving. You guys go and talk about your business. An old fox was indeed an old fox. Although he had been pressuring Charlotte just now, he had always maintained a certain degree of leeway. It was not to the extent of turning hostile. Just based on this point, it was not difficult to see that although Yi Kun was his student, he had not learned his skills well. Yi Kun pointed at Charlotte with his finger and left without saying anything. Just now, Xiaoxian was still laughing at Charlotte, but now he couldn't laugh no matter how hard he tried. The aura and negotiation skills that Charlotte had displayed just now were not something that he, who was born with a silver spoon, could compare to. Charlotte's gaze shifted to Xiaoxian and said with a smile, Mr. N, why don't we play another round and bet 200 million? Let's go. And Xiaoxian also left. The blond Western man stared straight at Charlotte and left with Xiaoxian. Charlotte's gaze stopped on the Western man's back as he pondered. I really couldn't tell. Shintu Tianin laughed out loud. I thought you wouldn't be able to handle the pressure and sell your military factory. I didn't expect you to scold Yi Kun and drive him away. Do you know, if it were me, I would sell it for 5 billion. I think if you offered that price, Yi Kun would consider it. Charlotte shook his head. Some things can't be bought with money. For example? Shintu Tianin looked at Charlotte's eyes with interest. Charlotte said, there are too many. I'll give you a simple example. The US's weapons technology is number 1 in the world, and our foreign exchange reserves are number 1 in the world. But can we buy the technology in the hands of the US? You can't buy it no matter how much money you give us. Shintu Tianyin was slightly stunned. She thought that Charlotte would talk about love and family, but she didn't expect Charlotte to use the US as an example. Indeed, the current situation was that China used the same volume of gold to exchange for a US fighter jet, but the US didn't even care. Fu Mingmei interrupted with a smile. Charlotte, I didn't know that you were quite patriotic. You can even talk about such big principles. However, you were so handsome when you taught that Yi Kuan a lesson. I admire you. Shintu Tianyin rolled her eyes at her. Don't make trouble. I'm handsome, but can that solve the problem? Fu Mingmei pouted, but secretly gave Charlotte a thumbs up. Shintu Tianyin said, Lei, I'm actually quite worried. Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan are not ordinary people. They both represent powerful forces. Moreover, you're involved in the arms market. I don't even dare to think about that market. I'm worried that you'll encounter a lot of trouble in the future. Charlotte smiled. The thing I'm least afraid of is trouble. If I'm afraid of them, I would have sold it just now. Why would I offend them? Since I dared to scold Yi Kuan, I'm not afraid of him. This kind of person thinks he's infallible and is used to being unreasonable. Someone has to stand up and extinguish his arrogance. Shintu Tianyin sighed. Forget it. Let's not talk about this. You have a lot of things that worry me, but I can never persuade you. Charlotte said, Aren't you the same? There are some things that I can't persuade you. Fu Mingmei interrupted and said, Both of you are extremely strong-willed people. Neither of you can persuade the other. I think, if you have a conflict in the future, you might as well fight. The winner calls the shots. Isn't that fine? Shintu Tianyin was amused by her. Doesn't that mean I have to listen to him for everything? You can hire a representative. I can fight for you, Fu Mingmei said. Go order food, Shintu Tianyin said. Charlotte is going to Russia tomorrow. Let's send him off. I'll go right away. Fu Mingmei didn't want to stay and be a third wheel. When she left, she even took the ball boy with her. Only Shintu Tianyin and Charlotte were left on the grass. They looked at each other and didn't speak for a long time. Shintu Tianyin broke the silence. Teach me how to play golf. Charlotte smiled and said, You're the one who taught me. Why are you asking me to teach you? You're lying. You're so good. How can this be your first time playing golf? Are you going to teach me or not? If not, I'm going to ignore you. Shintu Tianyin's voice was gentle. Charlotte. Chapter 382. Whitestag Town had already entered dreamland under the cover of night. The lights were sparse. The Thunder Horse military factory not far from Whitestag Town, however, was brightly lit and bustling with activity. What happened during the day did not affect the production of the factory. The workers in the military factory were extremely enthusiastic about their work, but it was not because they had a high level of ideological awareness, but because their director Xia had brought back several cartons of cash. Regardless of their position, everyone was given 10,000 yuan for fun. The money was lost to Charlotte by Xiaoxian and Yi Kuan when they played golf. They did not feel the pinch at all. After giving it to the entire factory, it was only about 5 million, enough for 3 bonuses. Yi Kuan wanted to poach the talents of the Thunder Horse military factory, but Charlotte used his money to strengthen the sense of belonging of the employees. In this matter, Yi Kuan could be said to have gone for wool and come home shorn. Everything that needed to be prepared was ready. All that was left was to go to the airport the next morning and fly straight to Moscow. In the study of the villa, Charlotte closed a set of exhibition materials and picked up a pen. He wrote on a piece of paper the mysterious words on the bronze book he saw with his X-ray vision in the military base. The words on the bronze book were very strange and complicated. He spent a few minutes to write a few words. He looked carefully at these words, looking left and looking right, but he couldn't find the slightest clue. These words. After a long time, a thought suddenly appeared in Charlotte's mind. Peaceful has never seen such words before. The language expert she consulted has never seen such words either. Could it be that it's not words? It was a bold idea. Charlotte's gaze moved to a word that took a lot of effort to write on the paper. It had a circle and many strokes. If he let his imagination run wild, the circle would look like a human head, and the strokes would look like an adult's arms and legs, or even organs, or something else. After looking for a long time, Charlotte frowned. If it's not words, why is it carved on the bronze book? What does it have to do with ancient alloy? What's the use? It was difficult to find an answer to these questions. Hee. A woman's laughter suddenly sounded in the study. Charlotte was shocked. His eyes scanned every corner of the study, but he didn't find anything. Hee. The woman's laughter drifted into Charlotte's ears again. This time it was even clearer. The voice was very young, faintly discernible, and pleasing to the ear. However, it seemed to have drifted over from a very, very distant place, yet it also seemed to have been transmitted from another dimension of space. In short, it was extremely strange. Charlotte suddenly remembered the woman's voice he had heard in the ruins of the White Hun tribe. His back felt cold. Suddenly, the light in the study went out. The door to the study opened silently, and a woman in a white dress suddenly appeared at the door. Ah! Charlotte couldn't help but scream. He almost fell off his chair. At the door, the woman in the white dress was tall and slender. The cold moonlight outside the door sprinkled on her body. She was like a fairy that flew down from the moon palace, without the slightest smell of smoke and fire. She slowly walked towards Charlotte. The night wind lifted her skirt, and her pair of jade-like legs could be faintly seen, like ivory chopsticks. Only then did Xiao see her face clearly, and he immediately let out a long breath. She wasn't a female ghost, but a Nina. A light suddenly came on, but it wasn't the light in the study. It was the glowing device in Anina's skirt. The red LED light shone, illuminating the bottom of her skirt. It was so beautiful that people didn't dare to look at it directly. The light shone upward, and her lower abdomen and chest were also shrouded in the light. Her lower abdomen was flat and smooth, her navel was round and cute, and her two peaks were even more towering, majestic and spectacular. Hee. Anina laughed heartlessly. A bitter smile appeared on the corner of Charlotte's mouth. What are you doing? I bought it on Taobao. It just arrived today. I want to wear it for you. Anina spun in a circle, showing off her sexy butt, and then walked towards Xiaolei. Does it look good? Charlotte said with a bitter smile. It seems that I have to talk to Ma Ning. I have to let him know what he has sold. Why would you buy such a thing? You don't like it? Anina unceremoniously sat on Charlotte's lap. Charlotte looked at the glowing thing in her skirt and couldn't help laughing. No, I just think you should wear underwear underneath. Come on, I know you like it like this. Charlotte. Anina lowered her head and used her soft lips to block Charlotte's lips. The long night was endless and gentle. The next morning, Tang Yuyan drove to the Thunder Horse military factory. Long Bing and Tang Buchuan also came. In the battle, the elites of 101 innings were all present. It was not difficult to see how important the 101 innings was to this trip to Russia. The 4 sniper rifles on display were all loaded into the car, waiting for Charlotte to set off. Anina gave Charlotte a hug and said in his ear, "Be careful. Call me when you get there." "Okay, I'll call you when I get there," Charlotte said. On the other side, Tang Yuyan frowned. What is the relationship between Anina and Charlotte? Are you asking me? Long Bing said. Well, this woman was abducted from Germany by you and Charlotte. You definitely know more than me. Tang Yuyan said. Long Bing said lightly. I need to use 10,000 words to explain it clearly. Are you interested in listening? Tang Yuyan rolled her eyes at Long Bing. You're so cold. No wonder you still don't have a boyfriend. Long Bing also rolled her eyes at Tang Yuyan. You make it sound like you have a boyfriend. Tang Buchuan shrugged. Do you have to be like this the moment you meet? Long Bing and Tang Yuyan rolled their eyes at each other. Some relationships in this world were destined to be irresolvable, just like Tang Yuyan and Long Bing. The two of them were definitely comrades in arms on the battlefield, and they could entrust their lives to each other. However, in their daily lives the two of them bickered. Charlotte walked over. All right, let's go. A few cars from 101 Innings were on the road, heading straight for the airport. Although Long Bing and Tang Buchuan also came, they did not board the plane. Their task was only to escort the guns and Charlotte to the exhibition. Tang Yuyan was the one who was going to accompany Charlotte to Moscow. Be careful. Before Charlotte boarded the plane, Long Bing warned him. Charlotte nodded. I will, thank you. I'll have to trouble you to take care of Xiaoxue. I can't rest assured if I'm not by her side. Long Bing said, Don't worry about that. I'll take good care of her for you. After a pause, she added, Also, don't cause any trouble in Moscow this time. Charlotte smiled bitterly. I'll try my best. Tang Yuyan poked her head out of the plane's door. Charlotte, hurry up. I'm leaving. Charlotte boarded the plane. In addition to the flight crew and Tang Yuyan, there were two other people on the plane. One was Tang Yuyan's subordinate, Hu Hao. The other was Ling Han. He was very young, in his early 30s. He wore a pair of rimless glasses, had fair skin, and looked gentle. He looked like a civil servant, but Charlotte observed him and felt that it was not the case. This Ling Han had an indescribable temperament, giving people a feeling that there was a story behind him. Mr. Xia, I've heard a lot about you, but I never had the chance to meet you. Ling Han took the initiative to greet Charlotte. We finally met on this trip to Russia. It's a pleasure to meet you. Charlotte was also very polite. Mr. Ling, it's a pleasure to meet you. By the way, what are you responsible for? Ling Han looked at Tang Yuyan, who was standing next to Charlotte. Section Chief Tang, didn't you tell Mr. Xia? Tang Yuyan said, I'm sorry. Charlotte, Mr. Ling is the official representative of this exhibition. He is responsible for negotiating with foreign merchants and approving complicated orders. This was equivalent to being in charge. Charlotte's heart skipped a beat. This Ling Han is so young, yet he's already in charge of such an important task. His identity is not simple. His position is definitely much higher than Tang Yuyan's. Ling Han smiled and said, That's right. I'm in charge of these tasks. I hope Mr. Xia can support me. Of course, of course. Please take care of me, Mr. Ling. Charlotte reached out his hands to shake hands with Ling Han. Ling Han also reached out his hands to shake hands with Charlotte. He did not have any official airs at all. The two of them exchanged a few pleasantries before returning to their seat. There were a lot of seats on the plane, but Tang Yuyan ran over to squeeze with Charlotte and sat next to him. Charlotte glanced at Ling Han from the corner of his eye, then moved closer to Tang Yuyan's ear and whispered, Who is this Ling Han? Tang Yuyan's ears turned red. I'm not sure. You're not sure? Charlotte was a little surprised. Tang Yuyan turned around and moved closer to Charlotte's ear. I'm not lying to you. I actually just found out his name. Didn't I tell you last time that the higher-ups will send someone to be in charge of the exhibition this time? I don't know who he is or which department he's from. However, the higher-ups are very concerned about the Russian exhibition this time. Based on my experience, this person's identity must be very special and his position must be very high. Charlotte frowned. Could it be someone from Hanwoo Weapons Company? Tang Yuyan said, It can't be. Would someone from Hanwoo Weapons Company be nice to you? You don't have to ask about his identity. Just mind your own business. Charlotte sat up straight and stopped asking. Tang Yuyan rubbed her ears and rolled her eyes at Charlotte. She thought to herself, he really doesn't think of himself as an outsider. He actually blew into my ear and tickled me. Pervert. Charlotte was also muttering in his heart, but it was another matter. The higher-ups are taking this seriously, so the person they're sending is definitely not simple. With this Ling Han by my side, how can I hand over the 2XL 2500 sniper rifles to my father? Also, my father wants to meet me in Russia. How can I leave with Tang Yuyan by my side? Before they even reached Russia, Charlotte's worries had already surfaced. The plane took off. Through the window, he could see the airport rapidly retreating. Further away, the outline of the capital came into view and also flew away. Charlotte suddenly had a premonition that this trip to Russia was destined to not be peaceful. Chapter 383. It took more than 9 hours to fly from Kyoto to Moscow. When he got off the plane, it was almost dusk. There was no feeling of jet lag, and he could even enjoy a Russian-style dinner. The hotel was booked early in the morning. It was the Crown Plaza Hotel in the center of Moscow. It was very close to the Red Square and the Kremlin, only a few minutes' drive away. Charlotte's room was well lit. Standing in front of the window, he could overlook the most powerful political center in Eastern Europe, the Kremlin. I'm already in Moscow. I don't know where my father is. This time, will he send Yelena to contact me? It must be like this. Yelena is originally Russian, and this is her hometown. Charlotte thought. In Moscow, he wasn't too worried about the CIA's unbridled actions. After all, this was the capital of Russia. If the CIA stirred up trouble here, the Russian Federal Security Service would definitely make them suffer. One must know that the Russian Federal Security Service's predecessor was the civilized world's KGB. Together with the CIA, Israel's Mossad, and Britain's MI6, they were known as the world's 4 major intelligence organizations. Knock, knock, knock. There was a knock on the door. Charlotte looked back and saw Tang Yuyan standing outside the door. She had changed into a blue evening dress. It was low-cut and exposed back. Her figure was plump and tight, and she was extremely sexy. Charlotte opened the door for her. He pretended to be stunned for a moment and then said with a smile, "You even changed your clothes so quickly. Why are you dressed so beautifully?" Tang Yuyan said with a smile, "It's rare for us to come out and have fun. Of course, I want to relax. I asked around, and the Russian food in this hotel is good. Let's try it. The lunch today was terrible. I barely moved, and I'm starving. So, treat me to a good meal." Charlotte readily agreed. "It's my honor." Tang Yuyan came over and held Charlotte's arm. This action was very intimate. Charlotte only slightly stiffened, but he didn't reject it. In Afghanistan, he and Tang Yuyan had even pretended to be husband and wife. Pretending to be a couple in Moscow was a piece of cake. When they arrived at the restaurant on the second floor, Charlotte thought of something. "Should we invite Mr. Ling to eat with us?" Tang Yuyan said, "No, he's a grown man. If he's hungry, he'll definitely come to eat." Charlotte didn't say anything. He chose a table by the window and then pulled out a chair for Tang Yuyan. With a smile on her face, Tang Yuyan gracefully sat down. Women all liked men with poise, and she was no exception. A Russian girl came over and asked Charlotte in broken English what he needed. Xiaolei said to her in fluent Russian, "A bottle of 10-year-old Blue Valley, 2 lamb chops, 2 bowls of borscht, and a chocolate dessert for this lady." The Russian girl smiled at Charlotte. "Sir, please wait a moment." When a man was not only good-looking, but also had poise and taste, and was also very rich, there would be no lack of women's attention wherever he went. This was the same as a sexy woman walking on the street, which would always attract the attention of a group of men. After the Russian girl left, Tang Yuyan slightly raised the corner of her mouth and said with a smile, "You're really something. Wherever you go, there are girls coming to talk to you." Charlotte said awkwardly, "She just said, sir, please wait a moment. Is that considered a conversation?" She also winked at you. If I wasn't here, she might have asked you for your phone number, Tang Yuyan said mischievously. Charlotte suddenly realized, you can understand Russian? Tang Yuyan said, I can't not be prepared for a mission in Russia. I don't speak Russian, but Hu Hao does. Charlotte looked into the restaurant, but he didn't see Hu Hao in the restaurant. Tang Yuyan pointed to a decorative flower on her left chest, pinhole camera, listening device. He can hear everything you say and see what you're doing. He's in his room, and his task is to translate for me. Charlotte smiled bitterly and shook his head. He didn't say anything, but in his heart, he was complaining about how troublesome it was. If she follows me closely at all times, Hu Hao will translate for her who I see and what I say. In this way, how can Yelena and my father get close to me? No, I have to find a way to get rid of her. The waiter served the dishes, and the two enjoyed the Russian delicacies while looking at the scenery outside the window. Tang Yuyan took a sip of the red wine. Well, this red wine is good. What's it called again? Azure Valley. Charlotte translated for her in Mandarin. It's 10 years old. It's not worse than French red wine, but it's not famous. By the way, didn't Hu Hao translate for you? Does he want to die? Why would he translate for us when we were talking? Tang Yuyan rolled her eyes at Charlotte. Just now, when I touched here, I had already turned off the listening device. As she spoke, she repeated the action and pressed on her perky breasts with her soft hands. There was an obvious sinking movement in that soft area, and Charlotte couldn't help but guess how soft it was and how heavy it was. This kind of speculation was very boring, but men couldn't avoid this kind of boredom. By the way, the exhibition starts in 3 days. We need to enter the exhibition hall 2 days in advance to set up our booth. We don't have to worry about the procedures and documents. Ling Han will take care of it. Tang Yuyan started talking about business. Okay. So, we have nothing to do tomorrow and the day after. We can't just stay in the hotel like idiot. Tang Yuyan winked at Charlotte. How about we go out for a walk? Charlotte's heart skipped a beat, and he agreed without hesitation. It wasn't that he wanted to go out and play with Tang Yuyan, but if he stayed here, Hu Hao and Ling Han would be a problem. If Yelena found this place and was discovered by Hu Hao or Ling Han, it would be terrible. If they went out to play, it would be easier to find opportunities to interact with Yelena. That's settled then. Aha, just thinking about it makes me happy. Tang Yuyan said excitedly. I want to go to Red Square, I want to go to Kremlin, I want to go to Notre Dame Monastery, Winter Palace, and Neva Street. However, just as Tang Yuyan was reciting the names of the attractions, Charlotte's gaze shifted to the entrance of the restaurant. A group of Chinese people were striding over, and the person leading them was none other than Yi Kuan. Seeing Yi Kuan, Charlotte frowned. Why is he here? Tang Yuyan also saw Yi Kuan and the large group of followers behind him. She frowned as well. I don't know, I didn't receive any notice. Hanwoo Weapon Company is our country's largest light weapon manufacturer. Yi Kuan must be here to participate in the International Light Weapons Exhibition. Did the higher-ups arrange for him to stay in this hotel? Is Ling Han also in charge of Hanwoo Weapon Company's exhibition? Charlotte asked. Tang Yuyan shook her head. The possibility of Ling Han being in charge of Hanwoo Weapon Company's exhibition in Russia is very small. As for Yi Kuan staying in this hotel, I can only say that he definitely has the means to know our schedule. At this time, Yi Kuan also saw Charlotte and Tang Yuyan, and walked straight over. His expression, his lack of composure, made Charlotte suspect that Yi Kuan was here to cause trouble. Miss Tang Yuyan, you're so beautiful tonight. Yi Kuan smiled and greeted Tang Yuyan. Thank you. Tang Yuyan's tone was indifferent. Yi Kuan then looked at Charlotte. Yo, isn't this our firearms rookie, Charlotte, Mr. Xia? You really came to Russia. Charlotte said, What do you want to say? Say it and leave. Don't disturb my meal. Yi Kuan said coldly, Charlotte, although you don't respect me as a senior, I'm still willing to give you another chance to correct your mistake. I'll ask you one last time, are you selling your Thunder Horse military factory or not? Charlotte laughed. You're really like a woman who doesn't know what to do. I'll tell you again, 300 billion. If you pay now, I'll sell it to you now. Yi Kuen's face darkened. He actually already knew Charlotte's answer, but he still didn't give up and wanted to ask. A man dressed as a bodyguard behind Yi Kuen interrupted and said, You kid, how are you talking to Director Yi? Didn't your mother teach you manners? Charlotte's eyes moved to the bodyguard. Suddenly, he threw a piece of lamb chop on the fork in his hand and hit the bodyguard's face. Being hit by the lamb chop was actually nothing. It wasn't very painful, but the sauce on the lamb chop splashed on the bodyguard's face. Even his white shirt was dirty. He looked very embarrassed. Bastard! The bodyguard suddenly went crazy and rushed up to beat Charlotte. Charlotte didn't even move. He didn't care about a bodyguard at all. Tang Yuyan suddenly stood up, and the knife in her hand drew an arc in the air. When it stopped again, it was already on the neck of the bodyguard who rushed up. The bodyguard stopped abruptly, not daring to move recklessly. Tang Yuyan's eyes were very cold. Director Yi, do you really want to make things worse? Yi Kuen said, Step back. Only then did the bodyguard step back cautiously. Tang Yuyan sat back in the chair. Director Yi, I'm sorry I can't keep you company. Yu Yan, I have a good relationship with your grandfather and your father. I don't want to make things unpleasant because of this kid. Okay, I'll give you face. Let's go. Yi Kuen waved his hand and walked to the other corner of the restaurant. Charlotte knew that the trouble didn't disappear. This was just the beginning. This guy is like a fly. Tang Yuyan angrily threw the knife and fork on the table. The atmosphere and appetite are ruined by him. Charlotte said, Thank you for just now. Thank me for what? Tang Yuyan said, Compared to what you did for me in Afghanistan, what I did for you is nothing. Charlotte smiled. If you don't want to eat, let's go back. Tang Yuyan shook her head. Why don't you order me another lobster? Maybe I'll be in a better mood if I change the dish. Charlotte, at this time, Ling Han also walked into the restaurant. He made eye contact with Charlotte. He nodded in greeting, then sat at a table by the door, ordered, and waited. He seemed very quiet. Charlotte was sure that Ling Han also saw Yi Kuen, but what made him feel strange was that Ling Han and Yi Kuen didn't even nod in greeting. Charlotte secretly said in his heart, Don't they know each other? This Ling Han is really a very strange person. Chapter 384. Miss, you're so pretty. Charlotte leaned against the counter at the hotel's front desk, smiling as he struck up a conversation with the Russian girl on duty. The Russian girl covered her mouth and giggled. Is there anything I can help you with, sir? Can you tell me which room a Chinese man named Yi Kuen is staying in? Charlotte asked. Disappointment flashed in the Russian girl's eyes. Sorry, sir. We have rules. We can't reveal information about other guests. Charlotte smiled and placed a symmetrically folded hotel card next to the Russian girl's hand. There was a €100 note in the card. The Russian girl smiled at Charlotte again and quietly put the card away. She then checked the registration book. 5th floor, room 418. Thank you. Charlotte turned to leave. Hey, sir. The Russian girl called out to Charlotte. I get off work at 12. Xiaolei looked back and smiled. He nodded but thought to himself, What does it have to do with me that you get off work at 12? 5th floor. They were on the same floor. Obviously, this was not a coincidence. Yi Kuen had arranged it on purpose. The corridor on the 5th floor was quiet and empty. Charlotte walked to the other end of the corridor. His room was room 410, but he did not stop when he passed by room 410. He continued to walk forward and quickly approached room 418. His line of sight silently passed through the door of room 418 and the scene in the room entered Charlotte's line of sight. Yi Kuen was talking with a few people in the room. The bodyguard who had been hit in the face by Charlotte was also in the group. There was also a woman who had not appeared in the restaurant before. She was very young and was probably Yi Kuen's assistant or secretary. Charlotte lip-read the conversation in the room. "That punk won't give up until he sees the coffin," Yi Kuen said hatefully. "No matter what, we have to stop him from bringing his gun to the exhibition. If Thunder Horse Military Factory's XL-2500 sniper rifle becomes a hit at the exhibition, it will be very difficult to deal with him in the future." "Chairman Yi, where is the gun?" asked the woman. "Do you even need to ask?" "He must be in Charlotte's room," someone guessed. Another person said, "If that's the case, Director Yi, why don't we just send someone to snatch those guns?" Yi Kuen frowned. "You're underestimating that brat and the people around him. I won't talk about the others, but Tang Yuyan, who's always by Charlotte's side, is not someone we can deal with. She was a woman from the Tang sect in Sichuan and a general who had fought in 101 innings. She wouldn't even blink when she killed someone. With the people we brought, we are no match for them at all. Tang Yuyan is in charge of protecting Charlotte and those guns. If we take action, won't that be the same as declaring war on her?" The woman had a worried look on her face. "There are still 2 days left. We have to think of a solution as soon as possible." One of them said, "We can't rob and we can't buy. What else can we do?" "Right, there's a bespectacled man beside Charlotte and Tang Yuyan." "Who is he?" asked the woman. Yi Kuen shook his head. "I don't know where he came from. I've asked around, but there's no result." In the corridor outside the door, Charlotte's heart skipped a beat. He thought to himself, even Yi Kuen can't find out the identity of this person. Who exactly is this Ling Han? In the room, Yi Kuen said, "Forget it. Don't worry about this. You guys deal with the exhibition. I'll handle this." The identities of the people in the room were obvious. Other than the bodyguards, the rest were from Hanwu Weapons. They were also Yi Kuen's trusted subordinate. Otherwise, Yi Kuen wouldn't have brought them to Russia and discussed such a shady matter with them. Yi Kuen's subordinates began to discuss the weapons exhibition. Yi Kuen walked to the balcony outside the living room and took out his phone to make a call. He had his back to the living room and the door of the room. Charlotte adjusted the angle, but still could not see the shape of Yi Kuen's mouth with his X-ray vision. He could not use his lip-reading ability. Yi Kuen's call with someone was very short. It was probably just a few sentences. He hung up and returned to the living room with a smile on his face. "All right, that's all for today. You can all go back to your rooms." "Chairman Yi, it's settled?" someone asked. Yi Kuen said, "You don't have to worry about this. Just do your job well." They did not ask any more questions. They got up and walked to the door. Charlotte turned and ran. He rushed to the door of room 410 in the blink of an eye. He opened the door and entered. The door to room 418 opened as soon as he entered. However, Charlotte was too lazy to use his X-ray vision to observe these people. After entering the room, Charlotte walked to the bedside and reached out to pull out a plastic engineering box from under the bed. He opened the plastic box and the 2 XL-2500 sniper rifles immediately entered his line of sight. One was produced on the assembly line of Thunder Horse Military Factory, and the other was personally modified by him. There was only one sniper rifle in the world with an effective shooting range of 3,400 meters. He had brought a total of 4 sniper rifles on this trip to Russia. 2 were in his hands, 1 was in Tang Yuyan's hands, and 1 was in Ling Han's hands. This was his arrangement. This was also a safety measure. Under this arrangement, even if someone stole one or both of their guns, he still had the guns to participate in the exhibition. Xiaolei glanced at it, then closed the plastic box again and put it back under the bed. "Who is Yi Kuen talking to on the phone?" Charlotte quietly pondered. From his reaction, it seems like he's in a much better mood after the call. He seems to have a card up his sleeve. Could it be that he has the confidence to stop me from participating in the exhibition? If he's using someone else to achieve his goal, who could that person be? He thought of the CIA, but quickly rejected the idea. With Yi Kuan's status, he wouldn't dare work with the American CIA, even if he was as bold as a basketball. Other than this possibility, he couldn't think of who Yi Kuan would ask for help. After all, as long as they had money, there were too many people who could do this kind of thing. Knock, knock, knock. There was a knock on the door. Charlotte's left eye twitched slightly, and he saw the person standing outside the door. It was Ling Han. "Mr. Ling, is something the matter?" Charlotte opened the door and asked politely. Ling Han said, "Mr. Xia, may I come in and sit?" "Please come in." Charlotte opened the door, wondering why Ling Han was looking for him so late at night. Ling Han sat on the sofa and went straight to the point. "Mr. Xia, what were you doing outside Yi Kuan's room just now?" Charlotte's heart skipped a beat. "How did you know I was outside Yi Kuan's room just now?" Ling Han said calmly, "When you and Tang Yuyan went to the restaurant to eat, I put 2 surveillance cameras in the corridor. Of course, don't misunderstand. I didn't do this to spy on you, but to ensure that our mission was completed smoothly. Otherwise, I wouldn't have put the cameras in the corridor, but in your room." This Ling Han gave off an unfathomable feeling. "Mr. Xia, is it not convenient for you to answer my question?" Ling Han looked at Charlotte, as if he was observing and guessing. Charlotte then said, "Hanwoo Weapons and Thunder Horse Military Factory are direct competitors. Before this, Yi Kuan also came to me and tried to buy my company. This isn't the first time he's sabotaged my visit to Russia. I think you know some of the situation, right?" Ling Han nodded. "I do know some of the situation." Charlotte then said, "Yi Kuan's appearance here made me a little nervous. I was sure he would cause trouble, so I wanted to eavesdrop on what he and his people were talking about in the room. This is not a very honorable thing to do, but compared to his despicable tricks, I'm much more open and aboveboard." Ling Han said, "Then what did you eavesdrop on?" "Someone suggested that they come and take my gun." Ling Han's brows immediately furrowed. Charlotte observed his expression and said, "Someone also suggested that we pay someone capable to do this." No one said this. Charlotte had made it up himself based on the situation. He wanted to see Ling Han's reaction. However, Ling Han only furrowed his brows and didn't have any other reaction. Ling Han stood up from the sofa. "I understand. That's all then. You should rest early." "That's all. That's all." This was the last sentence the two men exchanged. Ling Han left Xia Lei's room, closing the door behind him as he went out. Xia Lei stared blankly at the tightly shut door for a while before he said, "Ridiculous. This guy is even colder than Long Bing." Charlotte wanted to talk to Tang Yuyan, but gave up after thinking about it. He took a shower and then went to bed. However, he almost slept with his eyes open. He couldn't sleep at all. His mind was full of this and that, and it was a mess. He didn't know why, but there was always an uneasy feeling in his heart. However, there was no movement outside. It was strangely quiet. What was even stranger was that this feeling didn't disappear with the passage of time. Instead, it became stronger and stronger. After some time, he couldn't lie down anymore. He got out of bed and put on his clothes. He took out the plastic engineering box under the bed and put it on the bed. At this moment, there was a noise in the corridor outside the door. It was the sound of a dining car's wheels rolling on the carpet. There were also footsteps. More than one person was walking. Charlotte's left eye twitched slightly, and the door quietly disappeared from his sight. The moment he saw the situation outside the door, he suddenly wanted to rush to the wall next to the door. At that moment, a large foot kicked the door fiercely, and the door opened with a bang. A tall blond man rushed into the room with the latest model of AK-12. Without saying anything, he pulled the trigger while facing the bed. The muzzle of the AK-12 was equipped with a silencer, so the gunshot was very soft. The bullets hit the quilt and mattress without making a sound, but the feathers of the bullets were like snowflakes dancing in the air. He wasn't here to steal the gun, he was here to kill. Without waiting for the blonde man to finish firing, Charlotte, who was hiding behind the wall, suddenly reached out and grabbed the gun. At the same time, he kicked the blonde man's knee. The blonde man didn't expect Charlotte to be hiding beside him. He was caught off guard and fell to the ground. At this moment, Charlotte suddenly pulled the AK-12 up and took it. Tut tut tut. A burst of bullets suddenly came in from outside the door. Charlotte moved his feet and pressed his back against the wall. At the same time, he pressed the muzzle and pulled the trigger. Several bullets suddenly pierced the blonde man's chest. One down, but there were still 10 outside the door. Chapter 385. It was a group of gunmen. They were all armed with AK-12s, which were American-made M16s with terrifying firepower. With such a group of gunmen, it would be easy to take on a police station. Based on the number of people and their weapons, it was not difficult to tell how determined they were to kill Charlotte. Outside the door, one of the gunmen suddenly made a gesture to another gunman. The gunman nodded and took a step back. Suddenly, he laid on the ground and slid into the room with his body close to the floor. As he slid, he adjusted the gun in his hand to the direction where Charlotte was hiding. However, before his upper body had completely slid into the room, just as his head was about to enter the door, a few bullets suddenly pierced his head and blasted it into pieces. Such a tactic would work against other people, but against Charlotte it would be impossible unless they dug out his left eye. One of the gunmen dragged the gunman, whose head was blasted into pieces, back into the room. Then, he used the man's body as a shield and moved into the room. Behind him, 8 gunmen were ready to rush in. With the power of the AK-12s and M16s, once the gunmen rushed into the room, it would be useless even if Charlotte was unparalleled in martial arts. Once he was shot, even if it was just one shot, he would lose the ability to fight. The situation was dire. At that moment, a hail of bullets suddenly shot out from the room opposite. One of the gunmen who had his back to the door instantly fell to the ground. At the same time, the door next to room 410 suddenly opened a gap, and a black muzzle popped out from the gap. 2 of the gunmen were shot in the back of their heads and fell to the ground. Tang Yuyan and Ling Han had also joined the battle. The 2 of them had joined the battle later than Charlotte had expected, but it could not be helped. Ling Han and Tang Yuyan did not have X-ray vision like he did. They needed Hu Hao's technical support, and that would take some time. Tut tut tut. Tut tut tut. The remaining 6 gunmen fired at Tang Yuyan and Ling Han's door. Bullets flew in the corridor, and the wooden door was blasted into pieces. The bullets that hit the wall tore off the paint and shattered the glass frame hanging on the wall. In an instant, the narrow battlefield was in chaos. In the end, the gunner, who was carrying the corpse, braced himself and rushed into Charlotte's room. It wasn't that he wasn't afraid of death. It was just that it was extremely dangerous for him to be attacked by Tang Yuyan and Ling Hao in the corridor. It was a risky move. As long as they could kill Charlotte, they could reverse the unfavorable situation on their side. Tut tut tut. A gunman suppressed the fire in the room. Bullets flew around the room, shattering the crystal chandelier and glassware. Shards flew everywhere. After the bullets were fired, the gunman rushed into Charlotte's room with the corpse in his arms. He hid behind the body, and the muzzle poked out from under the body's armpit. He aimed in the direction where Charlotte was hiding and pulled the trigger. Tut tut tut. The glass door of the bathroom shattered with a loud noise. The sofa was also shaken by the attack, and the stuffing inside flew everywhere. However, it did not hit Charlotte. Charlotte, who was just behind the door, seemed to have disappeared into thin air. The gunman threw the corpse away and looked toward the balcony. Behind him, 2 other gunmen rushed into the room. A gust of wind blew in from the balcony and lifted the curtains, revealing the entire balcony. It was empty and there was nothing there. "Where is he?" one of the gunmen asked anxiously. "Tut tut tut." A burst of bullets suddenly shot down from the ceiling behind them. The 3 gunmen fell into a pool of blood before they could even see the shadow of the person. All of them were shot in the head, and they died very quickly. If there were souls in this world, the souls of the 3 gunmen would be able to see Charlotte sticking to the corner of the wall like a gecko. Moreover, he was only supported by 1 hand and a pair of feet. Charlotte jumped down from the corner of the wall under the ceiling. He rolled over and picked up an M16 from the ground, before hiding under the wall again. It had only been 2 minutes since the start of the battle, but 8 of the enemy's gunmen had died. Although the battle was not over, the most dangerous moment was over. In the corridor, the 3 remaining gunmen did not seem to have expected the person they wanted to kill to be so powerful. Without any hesitation, the 3 of them ran toward the staircase. As they ran, they fired at Tang Yuyan and Ning Hao's room, suppressing the 2 of them so that they would not dare to come out. The 3 gunmen's strategy was very smart. They succeeded. Tang Yuyan and Ning Hao did not dare to rush out of the room in a hail of bullets to intercept them. However, they had forgotten one person, Charlotte. Moreover, it was Charlotte who could see what they were doing through the wall. Just as the 3 gunmen strode past Tang Yuyan's room and sped up toward the staircase, Charlotte suddenly rushed out of the room. He held the M16 with both hands and fired a burst of bullets at the 3 gunmen. 1 gunman was shot in the head, 1 in the back, and 1 in the buttocks and thighs. The gunman who was shot in the head and back did not move. The gunman who was shot in the buttocks and thighs rolled over and prepared to shoot. Whoosh! A knife suddenly pierced the gunman's wrist, and the AK-12 in his hand fell to the ground. The one who shot was Tang Yuyan. She had the same idea as Charlotte, which was to leave one alive. Charlotte and Tang Yuyan walked toward the gunman who was still alive. Ling Hao also walked out of the gunman's room. He was holding a fully automatic pistol in his hand. He looked at the corpses on the ground and did not even frown. The last gunman who was still alive crawled toward the gun on the ground. Charlotte stepped on his injured leg. "Ah!" the gunman screamed. Tang Yuyan kicked the gun further away and pointed it at the gunman's head. "You are dead!" The gunman shouted in Russian, "My brother will avenge me!" From his tone, he did not sound like a professional killer, nor did he sound like someone from the CIA. He sounded more like a Russian mafia. The Russian mafia was notorious in Eastern Europe and Europe for being fearless of death. The Russian mafia dared to do anything for money. Not to mention killing people, they even dared to resell nuclear weapons. Charlotte thought of something and said in Russian, "Tell me, who ordered you to do this?" "Bah!" The Russian gunman spat blood at Charlotte. Tang Yuyan kicked the Russian gunman's head and then stepped on his face. She said fiercely, "Speak. Who ordered you to do this?" Unfortunately, the Russian gunman did not understand her Chinese. He stared at Tang Yuyan with hatred. There was no fear in his eyes. Instead, there was a murderous look like a bloodthirsty beast. "Forget it." Charlotte pulled Tang Yuyan and said, "Let him go." "No." Tang Yuyan said flatly, "The police should be here soon. When the police come, we won't have a chance to interrogate him." Charlotte let go of her arm, but he whispered in her ear, "If you step on him like this, he can see the bottom of your skirt." Tang Yuyan suddenly realized that she was wearing a nightdress. She became angry and kicked the Russian gunman's head again. With this kick, the Russian gunner immediately fainted. Tang Yuyan rolled her eyes at Charlotte. She didn't say anything, but she seemed to be muttering in her heart, "At a time like this, he actually cares about the bottom of my skirt?" Ling Han walked over. "Are you all okay?" Charlotte said, "I'm fine." Tang Yuyan also said, "I'm fine too." "Who are they?" Ling Han asked. Tang Yuyan shook her head. "I don't know. This guy is very tight-lipped. I can't get any information out of him. Charlotte said, they're probably from the Russian mafia. They were paid to kill me. After a pause, he said, maybe the gun in my room is also their target. Ling Han's brows immediately furrowed, and a cold voice came out of his mouth. Too much. When Charlotte said that, he seemed to have guessed who it was related to. More doors opened, and Hu Hao, who provided technical support for Tang Yuyan and Ling Han, also walked out of his room. Then, Yi Kun and a few people from Hanwu Weapons Company also walked out of their rooms and looked over carefully. Looking at the corpses lying in the hallway and Xia Lei who was gradually coming back to life, Yi Kun's face suddenly turned ugly. His subordinates and bodyguards were even more stunned. They couldn't believe that Charlotte could survive so many people's assassination attempts. Tang Yuyan suddenly walked towards Yi Kun, her eyes filled with murderous intent. Ling Hao grabbed Tang Yuyan. What are you trying to do? This has something to do with him. Tang Yuyan said angrily. Calm down. Ling Hao scolded in a low voice. This is an order. Tang Yuyan was stunned for a moment, but she gave up in the end. Ling Hao was the person in charge of this mission. She had to listen to Ling Hao's orders. However, Ling Hao's scolding made her calm down. It was useless to rush over to Yi Kun and cause trouble. Instead, it would bring trouble to herself. With Yi Kun's identity, he was not someone she could deal with easily. On the other side, Yi Kun hesitated for a moment, but finally walked over and said hypocritically, What happened? Are you guys hurt? Russia is too messy. It's almost like a movie. Ling Han and Tang Yuyan looked at him without saying a word. Ling Xiao raised the M16 in his hand and pointed the muzzle at Yi Kun. You! Yi Kun suddenly became nervous. What are you trying to do? Charlotte smiled. Chairman Yi, what do you think I'm trying to do? You put the gun down. Yi Kun's voice was trembling. Charlotte put the gun down and said with a smile, Don't mind me. I just took a trip to the gates of hell and I'm still nervous. Chairman Yi, can you see if there's anyone you know here? What? People I know. Yi Kun reacted and said angrily, What nonsense are you talking about? How would I know these people? You must have done something to attract your enemies to kill you, right? Charlotte said, Maybe. I have a lot of enemies, but I'm a man of principle. As long as they can't kill me, I will kill them. Look, didn't these people all die in my hands? Yi Kun's face was extremely gloomy. He knew very well that Charlotte's words were directed at him. He also knew what Charlotte meant. As long as he didn't kill Charlotte, Charlotte would kill him. Charlotte's lips curled into a cold smile. Chairman Yi, it's not easy for you to climb to where you are today. You must take care of your body. Don't get into any accidents in Russia. It's a sad thing to lose people but not finish spending money. Yi Kun said angrily, What are you trying to say? Are you threatening me? He looked at Ling Hao. Mr. Ling, did you see that? He is threatening me. Ling Hao said calmly, It's just a sentence. I don't think it's a threat. I say, what are you still doing here? Do you really know someone? Humph. Yi Kun swung his hand and left. Police sirens could be heard outside the hotel. The Moscow police had finally arrived. Chapter 386. The Moscow police took away 10 bodies, and the injured gunman was also taken away by the ambulance and transferred to the hospital. After he received treatment, the Moscow police would interrogate him. It was possible that they would find out which gang he belonged to, or maybe he didn't belong to any gang at all. Charlotte didn't have much hope for this. He was just a gunman, and his position in the gang wouldn't be high. It was almost impossible for him to know who paid them to kill people here. This matter was very big, but with the current relationship between Russia and China, it wouldn't cause any unnecessary trouble. Ling Han showed his ID and the relevant document. The Russian police checked and didn't have any trouble at all. Throughout the whole process, Charlotte only answered a few simple questions. However, after knowing that it was a gunman, and that Charlotte killed 7 people and seriously injured one, even the tough Russian police looked at Charlotte in awe, as if they were looking at a monster. Ling Han and Tang Yuyan were still cooperating with the police investigation, so Charlotte left the corridor and walked to the stairwell. "Where are you going?" Tang Yuyan asked. Charlotte didn't look back and just said, "I'm going to the rooftop to get some fresh air." Get some fresh air? Tang Yuyan almost choked on this sentence. She wanted to follow, but the police officer who recorded her statement indicated that she couldn't leave. Hu Hao also shrugged and continued to act as a translator for Tang Yuyan. Charlotte didn't go to the rooftop. In fact, he only went up 1 floor, and after reaching the 6th floor, he entered the corridor. The assassination failed, and Yi Kuan was most likely to contact the person who sent the gunman, or the middleman. This was also the best time to find out who was behind the scenes. How could he miss such an opportunity? Charlotte quickly walked to the door of room 452 and knocked on the door. The door opened, and a blonde Russian woman looked at Charlotte in surprise. She didn't know this Chinese man at all, but he knocked on her door. In fact, she thought it was the police who came to ask about the situation. After all, with such a huge commotion downstairs, the entire hotel knew what had happened. "Sir, you." The Russian woman looked at Charlotte warily. Charlotte took out his wallet, took out a few €100 notes, and stuffed them into the Russian woman's hand. "Sorry, I need to borrow your bathroom." Without waiting for the woman's reply, Charlotte had already brushed past the woman's side and entered the house, then entered her bathroom. The Russian woman stared blankly at the closed bathroom door, and then looked at the few euros in her hand. She didn't recover for a long time. However, she didn't mind earning a few €100 just by borrowing the bathroom. Most importantly, the person who borrowed the bathroom was a handsome guy. In the washroom, Charlotte was not idle for even a moment. His left eye pierced through the floorboards and took in all the rooms downstairs. In Yi Kuan's room, a few employees from Hanwoo Weapons Company were discussing what had just happened. Yi Kuan did not participate in the discussion. He stood on the balcony and smoked. Then, he took out his phone and dialed a good number. However, he seemed to have realized something. He waved his hand and said, "All of you can leave." The few employees from Hanwoo Weapons Company left the room. Yi Kuan dialed the good number again, and stood in the living room to make a phone call. Charlotte's gaze locked onto Yi Kuan's lips. "Mr. N, what happened?" Yi Kuan looked annoyed. "I only wanted those guns, and you promised not to make things worse. But do you know what just happened? 11 gunmen appeared in the hotel and started shooting. It was in Xiaoxian." Charlotte's eyes were cold to the extreme. "What? You're asking if he's dead? If he's dead, would I be calling you?" Yi Kuan lost control of his emotions. "It's a gunman. He killed 8 of them by himself. Oh yeah, and one of them was seriously injured. That guy left one alive. This is a problem. You better make sure he doesn't spill anything. Then there won't be a problem. Okay, I'll contact you tomorrow. It's not convenient to talk here." Yi Kuan hung up the phone and sat on the sofa, deep in thought. He was not a monolithic person. If something like this happened and it was found to be related to him, he would be in big trouble. Charlotte looked away and walked out of the bathroom. The Russian woman stood at the bathroom door and stared at Charlotte. There was a hint of hesitation in her eyes. "Thank you," Charlotte said courteously. The woman suddenly smiled. She took off her pajamas and stood naked in front of Charlotte. Charlotte was stunned for a moment, then he started running. "Hello? You paid, could it be?" Before the woman could finish, Charlotte had already disappeared. Russia was sanctioned by the West because of the Crimea issue. Coupled with the plummeting oil prices, the domestic economic situation was very serious. Many women in the workplace were willing to earn some extra income. The woman obviously saw Charlotte as her guest, but she did not expect that once she took off her clothes, Charlotte would run away. What was going on? Entering the corridor, Charlotte did not go to the rooftop. Instead, he went down to the 5th floor. Several policemen had finished the investigation and were ready to leave. Several policemen nodded to Charlotte and did not hide the awe in their hearts. Charlotte was also very polite. He waved to the policeman and said goodbye. "Didn't you go to the rooftop?" Tang Yuan said, "I was going to find you." Charlotte said, "Forget it, I don't want to go. If there is a sniper, I don't have a gun with me. It's very dangerous." Ling Hao said, "Don't live here. Let's change places." "Where?" Charlotte asked. "The embassy. I'm going to make a report. You go back and pack your things." Ling Hao returned to his room. Charlotte also returned to his room. It was a mess. The floor was full of blood and glass fragments. The engineering plastic box was still on the bed, and there were several bullet marks on it. However, because it was specially made, the bullet did not penetrate the plastic box and hurt the sniper rifle inside. This engineering plastic box had actually been opened by the Moscow police, and they had seen what was inside. Ling Hao showed the relevant documents. After the police called and verified, they did not take away the sniper rifle from China for the small arms exhibition. If Ling Hao did not show the documents, they would definitely take the gun away. In fact, there was nothing to pack. There was only a suitcase and an engineering plastic box. Charlotte carried the engineering plastic box with one hand and dragged the suitcase with the other to the door. At this time, a hotel waitress came in with a cleaning cart. She had blonde hair and blue eyes and wore a mask. Charlotte suddenly stopped because he saw the face covered by the mask. She was not the hotel waitress, but Yelena. He did not expect that Yelena would be so bold to appear at this time. However, when he thought about it carefully, this was actually the safest time for him. Charlotte looked in the direction of the door. Fortunately, Ling Hao's door was closed. Yelena pretended to sweep the glass shards on the floor with a broom and said in Russian, "He had planned to meet you tomorrow, but after what happened, he was very worried about you, so he asked me to come and take a look." "Where is he?" Charlotte asked. "Just outside the hotel." Yelena said, "But you can't see him. Tell me, where are you going?" "The embassy." Charlotte said. "Okay, find a way to come out tomorrow afternoon." Yelena said. Charlotte said, "Will he see me?" "Depends on the opportunity." Yelena's eyes fell on the engineering plastic box in Charlotte's hands. Her eyes were burning. "Is that the sniper rifle you made?" Charlotte nodded and said, "I can't give it to you now." Footsteps came from outside the door. "I will walk out of the embassy tomorrow afternoon," Charlotte said, carrying the engineering plastic box and dragging the suitcase out. Yelena continued to clean the room, looking very dedicated. In the corridor, Tang Yuan, who was also carrying an engineering plastic box and dragging a suitcase, said to Charlotte, "Have you finished packing? Don't leave anything behind." Charlotte said, "Don't worry, it's all packed." Ling Hao also came out of the room with a plastic box in his hand and a suitcase in his hand. He said, "The higher-ups have agreed and arranged for someone to pick us up. Hu Hao is waiting for us downstairs. Let's go." On the other side of the corridor, Yi Kun came out of his room and saw the three of them dragging their suitcases. He said loudly, "Yu Yan, where are you going?" Tang Yuyan rolled her eyes at him and did not speak to him. Yi Kun said shamelessly, "Mr. Ling, where are you going?" Ling Hao also glanced at Yi Kun and did not speak to him. Charlotte said with a smile, "Mr. Yi, why don't you ask me?" This time, it was Yi Kun's turn to be silent. He would ask anyone but Charlotte. At this time, a woman came out of his room and put a phone in Yi Kun's hand. Yi Kun picked up the phone and listened for a while. He softly replied with a before hanging up. "Yu Yan, why didn't you tell us that you were going to the embassy? We were worried about not being able to find a place to go. Let's go to the embassy with you. We are all China people, so we can take care of each other, right?" Yi Kuan's tone was a little teasing. Tang Yin lightly spat. This guy is really like a ghost that won't go away, just like a fly. Ling Hao looked at Charlotte. He's going to the embassy too. Are you going or not? This time, I'll let you decide. Charlotte thought for a while. Of course, why not? He had thought it through. Ling Hao had just made the call and Yi Kuan already knew about the itinerary. Hiding was not an option. Instead of changing hotels, it was better to stay in the embassy. This way, the Russian mafia would not dare to do anything. In the embassy, he only needed to deal with the threat from Hanwoo Weapons Company, which was much easier for him. All right, let's go. Ling Hao turned around and left. Charlotte looked back at Yi Kuan, his eyes cold. Humph. Yi Kuan snorted. Let's pack up and go to the embassy. The small arms exhibition was going to start in 2 days. There was not much time left, so of course he did not want to give up. Wherever Charlotte went, he would follow. He did not believe that he could not find an opportunity. Chapter 387. Don't move. I told you not to move. If you keep moving, I won't be able to poke the needle in. You're the one who made the blood. How can I not move? In the room, Tang Yuyan was sewing up Charlotte's wound with a surgical needle. Charlotte was bare-chested. His muscles were toned, but they were well-proportioned and good-looking. The wound that needed suturing was on his waist. It was a few centimeters long and was caused by glass shards. The wound was not serious, but Tang Yuyan insisted on treating him. The needle pierced through his flesh. Charlotte gasped in pain. A stream of blood flowed out of the wound and flowed from his waist to his underwear. There was a warm feeling on his buttock. It was a very strange feeling. Tang Yuyan took a piece of gauze and stuffed it into Charlotte's belt. Her fingers and the gauze touched Charlotte's buttock. What are you doing? Charlotte turned to look at Tang Yuyan. He was inexplicably nervous. Tang Yuyan rolled her eyes at Charlotte. Of course I'm wiping the blood off your face. Do you think I'm touching your buttocks? I wouldn't touch your smelly buttocks even if you gave them to me. Charlotte was speechless. Charlotte was not only taken advantage of by her, but also scolded by her. He was already speechless. Do you still remember when I sewed up your buttocks in Afghanistan? Big sister, can you not mention that? Ha ha. Tang Yuyan laughed very happily. She did not know why, but she liked to tease Charlotte. However, when she thought of that scene, her face inexplicably turned red. A few minutes later, the surgery was completed. Do you still want me to wipe the blood off your buttocks? Tang Yuyan smiled slyly. Charlotte quickly stood up. No, I can do it myself. You can go back to sleep. Tang Yuyan shrugged. All right, I'll be right next door. Call me if you need anything. After Tang Yuyan left, Charlotte took off his blood-stained pants and went into the bathroom to take a shower. He was not worried that his wound would become infected. After all, it was only a small wound. When he was about to go to bed, Charlotte received a call from China. The call was from Anina. Lucas, it's me. Have you arrived in Moscow? Charlotte said, I'm already in Moscow. Why are you still awake? I can't sleep. Anina said, I was waiting for your call, but it didn't come. I was worried that something had happened to you, so I called you. Only then did Charlotte remember that he had told Anina that he would call her to let her know he was safe once he reached Moscow, but he had completely forgotten about it. However, it was not his fault. Ling Han and Tang Yuyan were always by his side, so it was not very convenient for him. Then there was the incident at the hotel that night. He was overwhelmed. I'm fine. Don't worry, Charlotte added apologetically. I'm really sorry to have made you worry. Anina smiled. Why are you apologizing to me? After a pause, she said, Oh right, I'm calling to tell you something else. What is it? Charlotte had a bad feeling. After you left, that officer Tian came again. He took the 20XL 2500 sniper rifles with his men. He had the documents to take delivery of the goods, so I couldn't stop him. Also, not all the people he brought were soldiers. There were also some people in civilian clothes. Those people entered our workshop and said that it was an inspection. However, I suspect that those people were engineers or high-level machinists from Hanwoo Weapons. Charlotte frowned. Qin Xiang didn't stop them? She couldn't, Anina said angrily. They showed their credentials from the equipment department and the inspection documents. We had no reason to stop them. I kept following those people. They were inspecting our production line, but they saw more of our modified lathes and some special equipment. Yes, some people even asked to see our blueprints, but I said no. That's too much. Charlotte could not help but clench his fist. But you don't have to worry. They could only see the exterior of our lathes. They couldn't see the internal structure, and they couldn't get our AI program and electrical circuits, Anina said. Now it seems that we're lucky that you prepared in advance. Otherwise, we would have been in a passive position. Charlotte had only been gone for a day, and the other party had already made a move. They were so brazen and arrogant. Oh right, those people from Hanwoo Weapons even talked to our engineers and high-level machinists. They tried to poach our people in front of me and Qin Xiang. How did our people react? Two of the engineers seemed to be interested, but they didn't say anything. Anina was very worried. Lucas, how should we deal with this? Give them a raise to keep them? Charlotte thought for a moment. No, Hanwoo Weapons is trying to poach people. The pay they're offering must be very high. In terms of money, we're no match for Hanwoo Weapons. If they want to leave, let them go. But, Charlotte interrupted her. Anina, we're already offering the highest pay in the industry. This is a trap that Hanwoo Weapons set for us. Think about it. If Hanwoo Weapons poached people, and we gave them a raise, how would the military factory develop? If they want to poach, let them. If they leave, we'll just hire them again. Yes, I'm relieved to hear that. Anina smiled. This way we can even earn a sum of money from the breach of contract. The breach of contract was negligible. Charlotte had never thought of using this method to earn money. He was forced to do this. He felt helpless and angry. After chatting for a while, Charlotte hung up. After experiencing a battle, he quickly fell asleep after relaxing his body and mind. He had a dream. He dreamed of Princess Yongmei Zhu Xianyue, who was lying in a jade coffin. She was not wearing any clothes. Whether it was her face or her body, she was breathtakingly beautiful. When he reached out to touch her, she suddenly opened her eyes. This time, he was not afraid. He looked at her quietly. Princess Yongmei smiled. She grabbed his hand and climbed out of the jade coffin. Without any words, she kissed him on the lips, unbuttoned his clothes, and then did that kind of thing with him in the ancient tomb that was full of love and passion. It was difficult to describe this strange dream with words. A ray of sunlight shone in through the window. There was a bird chirping in the treetops outside the window. Its voice was crisp and pleasant. Charlotte woke up abruptly. His body was soaked in sweat. There were still some beautiful images in his mind. They were very real and could not be erased. Then, he lifted the blanket and looked at the underwear he had just changed into last night. He smiled bitterly. He had to change again. Knock, knock, knock. The sound of knocking came from the door. Lei, are you awake? Tang Yuyan's voice came from outside the door. Not yet. What's the matter? Charlotte took a new pair of underwear from the suitcase. The door was suddenly pushed open. Ah! Tang Yuyan suddenly covered her eyes. Charlotte also hurriedly covered his new underwear in front of his body. His face was red, and he said with shame and anger, "What are you doing?" I came to call you to eat breakfast." Tang Yuyan's face was also very red. "Haven't you seen enough?" "Ah? Who wants to see that? I'll wait for you outside." Tang Yuyan hurriedly closed the door. In the room, Charlotte was very depressed. He could not help but mutter in his heart, My relationship with her is so good that she can see me change underwear? Female pervert. After a few minutes, Charlotte went out the door. As expected, Tang Yuyen was still waiting for him at the door. Her delicate face was flushed red, as if she had drunk a little wine, or had been stimulated by something. Obviously, the answer was the latter. Let's go. Charlotte was also very embarrassed. He did not want to talk about the embarrassing incident that just happened. Okay, let's go to the restaurant. Tang Yuyen was slightly relieved, but the blush on her face did not lessen at all. There were many people eating in the restaurant. Charlotte saw Ling Hao sitting alone at a table, quietly enjoying the breakfast provided by the embassy restaurant. He also saw Yi Kun and several staff members of Hanwoo Weapons. Those people were also looking at him, their eyes cold. Hu Hao did not appear in the restaurant. He had to guard the guns. Charlotte ordered 2 sets of breakfast, and then sat with Tang Yuyen at an empty table to eat. The breakfast was very sumptuous, but he did not have much of an appetite. Don't worry, this is our embassy. Tang Yuyen whispered, Yi Kun won't dare to do anything here. Charlotte only nodded and did not say anything. In fact, he was not thinking about how to deal with Yi Kun. Instead, he was thinking about how to get rid of Ling Hao and Tang Yuyen to meet his father, Xia Changhe. His father, Xia Changhe, was also in Moscow. This was the best opportunity to meet him, and he did not want to miss it this time. In his plan, it was not difficult to give his father, Xia Changhe, 2 XL 2500 sniper rifles. However, he did not expect Ling Hao to appear. He was a vigilant and difficult person to deal with. After interacting with Ling Hao for 2 days, he realized that this matter was not as simple as he thought. If he was not careful, he would be discovered by Ling Hao. Charlotte subconsciously glanced at Ling Hao. Coincidentally, Ling Hao was also looking at him, and their eyes met. Ling Hao nodded at Charlotte. Charlotte also smiled as a response. He thought to himself, with him here, if I give the 2 XL 2500 sniper rifles to Yelena or my father, he will definitely be suspicious. Now that Hanwoo Weapons is looking for trouble with me, if Yi Kun finds out who I gave the guns to, he will definitely make a big deal out of it. Forget it, seeing my father is the most important thing. As for the guns, I will think of a way to deal with it later. At this time, Tang Yuyen suddenly kicked Charlotte lightly under the table. Did you forget your promise to me? What promise? Charlotte looked at her in confusion. Tang Yuyen wrinkled her pretty nose. You forgot so quickly? Yesterday at the hotel, you promised to go out with me for a walk. Charlotte said, so that's what you want. No problem, but you should talk to Ling Hao. If he agrees, we can go out now. Okay, wait for me. I will go talk to Ling Hao. Tang Yuyen was very anxious. She did not even want to eat breakfast as she got up and walked towards Ling Hao. Tang Yuyen was full of anticipation as she explained the situation to Ling Hao. However, Ling Hao simply shook his head. If what happened last night did not happen, I would allow you to go out. However, after what happened last night, I cannot allow you to go out. Just stay in the embassy. If something happens to you and Charlotte, I will not be able to answer to the higher-ups. As if a basin of cold water was poured over her head, Tang Yuyen's head immediately drooped. This result was within Charlotte's expectations. He also felt troubled. If he could not go out with Tang Yuyen, he would have to think of a way to leave the embassy himself. Chapter 388. Charlotte had nothing to do the whole morning, wandering around the embassy. He was the busiest one in the whole team. He had already started to deal with the last part of the work for the Thunder Horse military factory to participate in the Moscow International Small Arms Exhibition. Tang Yuyen and Hu Hao were both asked to help, which made Charlotte happy. If Tang Yuyen was by his side, he would not have a chance to leave the embassy to see his father, Xia Changhe. Hanwoo Weapons Company was also quiet, and a few employees were also busy dealing with the work for the Hanwoo Weapons Company to participate in the weapons exhibition. Yi-kun made a few phone calls, and Charlotte used his X-ray vision and lip reading to eavesdrop on those phone calls and got some information. 2 of the phone calls Yi-kun made were to the country, asking about the talent poaching of the Thunder Horse military factory and the situation of the workshop. Another phone call was to Mu Jianfeng, and it was also related to the Thunder Horse military factory. There was also a phone call to someone in the equipment department, asking about the acceptance of the first batch of XL 2500S. A few phone calls allowed Xia Lei to see the truth clearly, which was that the Hanwoo Weapons Company led by Yi Kun would not give up on encircling the Thunder Horse military factory. He also understood one thing, and that was, in this battle with the Hanwoo Weapons Company, he had to break out of the encirclement, otherwise he would fall under the hunting rifle of the arms oligarch led by Yi Kun. Charlotte thought that Yi Kun would contact An Xiuxian, but Yi Kun was very cunning and did not do so. Just like that, the morning passed, and it was close to lunchtime when Charlotte appeared at the entrance of the embassy. "I'm sorry, Mr. Xia." The soldier guarding the door blocked Charlotte's way. Mr. Ling said, "You can't go out." Charlotte frowned. "Why can't I go out?" "This is Mr. Ling's order, please ask Mr. Ling." The soldier guarding the door was neither humble nor overbearing. "We are just following orders, please forgive us." Not only could he make Tang Yuan listen to his orders, but he could also command the embassy's soldiers. This Ling Han's identity was really not simple. "Forget it. I just want to go out and buy something." "If that's the case, then I won't go out." Charlotte pretended to be indifferent and then left the door. A small container truck carrying vegetables, grains, and oil stopped at the gate. The driver got off the truck and talked to the soldiers guarding the gate. The driver was a Russian lady. She was very fat and could speak fluent Mandarin. Although her Mandarin was very poor, it was still commendable. The soldier guarding the door looked at the Russian lady's pass and let her open the container to take a look. He didn't get in the car to check and let her pass. The Russian woman drove the container truck to the unloading dock behind the restaurant. When she passed by Charlotte, she even honked at Charlotte. Xia Lei suddenly had an idea as he looked at the small container truck that passed by him. It was time for lunch. Charlotte was the first to go to the restaurant. He ordered a working meal and sat at a table eating slowly. While he was eating, he kept staring at the wall inside the restaurant and used his left eye to observe the situation of the small container truck. The restaurant staff was unloading the Russian woman. The speed was not fast. It seemed that it would take another 10 minutes to finish unloading. The Russian woman seemed to be dissatisfied with the restaurant staff's speed. She muttered and then walked in the direction of the bathroom. Charlotte withdrew his gaze. At this time, Tang Yuan and Ling Hao walked into the restaurant. "Lei, aren't you too lazy?" Tang Yuan complained as soon as she came. "We've been busy for a long time, but you're sitting here eating." Charlotte smiled. "Mr. Ling is in charge of this work. My work is at the exhibition. It's not the time for me to be busy." Tang Yuan pursed her lips. "I knew you'd say that." "I don't care. After the exhibition, you have to take me out to play. It's compensation." Charlotte readily agreed. "No problem. After the exhibition, I'll accompany you wherever you want to go." The two talked and laughed. Ling Hao didn't come over. He still sat alone at a table, eating his working meal. Charlotte secretly said in his heart, "Ling Hao's character is so eccentric. Will he have no friends?" Tang Yuan blinked at Charlotte and whispered, "What are you going to do this afternoon?" Charlotte tentatively said, "What do you want to do? How about playing games with me? To hit your head. I'm sleepy. I want to sleep." Charlotte got up. "Don't bother me. I don't know how to play games." Tang Yuan rolled her eyes at Charlotte and muttered, "Stingy." Charlotte left the restaurant and quickly went around to the back of the restaurant. The restaurant staff had finished unloading the goods, But the Russian woman hadn't come out of the bathroom. This was the opportunity Charlotte wanted. He climbed into the container truck and closed the door. There were many empty plastic boxes in the truck, which gave him a place to hide. Less than 2 minutes after Charlotte hid, the Russian woman came back. She just glanced at the closed door and didn't check it. Then she got into the driver's seat and drove away. The process of leaving the embassy gate was also very smooth. The guards didn't open the door to check. They just talked with the Russian woman for a while and then let her go. The Russian woman drove the small container truck into the street and drove north. In the container truck, Charlotte removed the battery and SIM card from the phone. At the same time, he used his left eye to observe the situation outside, waiting for the opportunity to get out of the car. Suddenly, the container truck started playing music. It was the famous Russian song "Evening on the Outskirts of Moscow." Amidst the old-fashioned music, Xiaolei realized that there was a very small speaker in the cargo compartment, and the music was coming from that small speaker. Just as Charlotte left his hiding place and was about to open the door of the container truck, the Russian woman's voice came from the small speaker. "Don't get out of the car. We'll be there soon." Charlotte froze on the spot. He was surprised that the Russian woman not only knew that he was in the car, but also said that she would be there soon. A thought came to his mind. Who is she? The Russian woman's voice came from the small speaker again. "Don't be nervous. We're on the same side." Charlotte smiled bitterly and gave up the idea of jumping out of the car. He carefully recalled the process of the woman driving into the embassy and then driving away, but the whole process didn't reveal a single flaw. Even he didn't see it, let alone the staff in the embassy. At least Ling Hao and Tang Yuyan wouldn't find out. The small container truck continued to drive north and stopped half an hour later. Charlotte activated the ability of his left eye and looked outside the container truck. He found that he was no longer in the center of Moscow, but near the outskirts. The container truck stopped in front of a warehouse. The location of the warehouse was very remote, and there were no pedestrians around. The Russian woman pressed the horn 3 times, and the shutter door of the warehouse rolled up. When the location was almost there, the Russian woman drove into the warehouse. The small container truck finally stopped, and the Russian woman opened the door. Charlotte jumped out of the car. There were a lot of frozen pork and frozen fish in the warehouse. The air conditioning was blowing, and the temperature was very low. However, except for the frozen pork and fish, he didn't see Yelena or his father, Xia Changhe. He wanted to use his X-ray vision, but soon gave up. His vision couldn't penetrate so many hanging frozen pigs. The Russian woman stared at Charlotte and said, "Where's the gun?" Charlotte said, "I'm afraid I'll only have the chance after the exhibition. I can't give it to you now." The Russian woman frowned. "You made the gun, and it's so troublesome." Charlotte asked tentatively, "Who are you?" The Russian woman smiled, then reached out and rubbed her chin a few times. Then she grabbed her face and pulled it up. In the blink of an eye, the wrinkled woman's face disappeared, and it was replaced by a young and beautiful face. She was Yelena. The human skin mask in her hand was exquisite and realistic, and it was amazing. Xiaolei finally came to his senses. No wonder a middle-aged woman had appeared when he needed to escape from the consulate the most. He didn't expect that the woman was Yelena, and she came to pick him up. "If I didn't get in your car, what would you have done?" Charlotte asked. Yelena smiled. "You didn't know how to take advantage of such an opportunity, so I have nothing to say. Also, I purposely went to the bathroom to give you a chance to get in the car." Charlotte shrugged. "Where's my father?" Yelena reached into the driver's seat and pressed the horn twice. The sound of footsteps came from the depths of the warehouse, and a middle-aged man entered Charlotte's line of sight. He wore a gray jacket, black leather shoes with big toes, and a gray cap. Although the cap covered half of his face, Charlotte recognized him at a glance. He was his father, Xia Changhe. Charlotte opened his mouth and wanted to say, "Dad," but his mouth couldn't make a sound. When he saw Xia Changhe, his mind went blank, and the feelings in his heart were extremely complicated. "You guys talk. I'll go out and watch." Yelena left. Xia Changhe walked in front of Charlotte and looked at Charlotte quietly. There was a smile at the corner of his mouth, and his heart was full of excitement and joy. Charlotte also looked straight at Xia Changhe. At this time, his mind was no longer blank. Many past events flashed through his mind like a movie being rewound. When he was young, his father went shopping behind his back and bought him candy. When he was in school, his father walked with him through the busy street. At night, his father made sweet and sour spare ribs for him and his sister. Gradually, Charlotte's eyes became moist and he finally called out, "Dad." Xia Changhe opened his arms and hugged Charlotte. Lay. This call also made Xia Changhe's tears flow out. Before they met, Charlotte still had a grudge against Xia Changhe, but after meeting him, he realized that he couldn't hate his father at all. "Lay, it's been hard on you all these years," Xia Changhe said. Charlotte took a deep breath. "Dad, why? Do you know how I've been living these years? Sometimes I hide in the quilt and cry. I don't dare to let Xia Shui know. I want you by my side so much, but you've been gone for 6 years, and there's no news at all." Although he couldn't hate Xia Changhe in his heart, these words had been stuck in his heart for several years. He had to say it out. Xia Changhe sighed. "I know I'm sorry to you and Xia Shui, and I don't expect you to forgive me. However, you have to believe me that I have to do this. If I come back, not only can I not help you, but I will also bring danger to you. Only when I disappear from this world will you be the safest. More importantly, I must fight for the time you need." Xia Lei was stunned for a moment. "You know everything?" Xia Changhe let go of Charlotte and said, "You come with me. This is not the place to talk." Charlotte nodded and followed Xia Changhe to the depths of the warehouse. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.